Ta-da!
Who wants their nails trimmed first? So we're gonna go ahead and do Rain's nails first. Yeah, so those white tips are getting really sharp and scratchy. They're just over 2 weeks old, like I said, so they're ready for their next nail trim. We typically do 1 nail trim every week with these guys and get them used to that process. That keeps them from scratching. Mist has a lot to say right now. But that, the nail trimming process is really important. So that they don't scratch mama, they don't scratch themselves, they don't scratch us. So I'm gonna go ahead and just trim the tips off. I'm just using an actual people nail trimmer because their nails are still so short. We don't want to quick them, just take the tips off and just get them used to going through this process of being handled and held and nails trimmed. You guys are being big talkers today. So I'm going to do the back ones. I'll try and keep you not from running away, since you guys can move around so much, but so that you can see what those back nails look like. Let me try this. Let me see what the best position will be. There we go. Yeah, it's part of life. This is an important part of life for puppies to learn proper nail trimming and maintenance habits as a little puppy. Got those all trimmed. We've got all our nails trimmed on Miss Rain now. So now it's Miss' turn for a little once over. Next, though, you can see her nails are ready for a trim as well. Yeah. Okay. Everybody says how much they love the smell of puppy breath. Believe me, I am actually not a fan of puppy breath. I think it kind of stinks, but if you like the smell of puppy breath, go ahead and put it in the comments and let us know that I'm wrong and you're right. So we got our front ones done. Now it's time for the back ones. When you've done a lot of puppy nails, you get pretty good at them. I just feel where that curl of that nail catches, and I'm just clipping right there. Okay, well, we've got a sleeping pile of puppies over there. You can go join them if you want. She says, I want. Okay, come here, Thunder. I'm going to sneak you away. We'll do yours next. I'm going to go ahead and get his nails trimmed. If you are enjoying watching along with our puppy series, this new litter development that we're doing, go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any of the great content we're going to be putting out with them. We've got puppy weaning next coming up, as well as it's getting to be nice weather out and these guys are getting older, so outside playtime will be started. We also do crate training with our puppies, and we'll show you what that routine and process looks like. Yeah, that was so easy peasy. Come here, Sprinkle. You little wiggler. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and trim her nails quick. I don't know if you can get close enough to kind of see where I'm trimming those at.
Yeah, slow down on this next one and we'll be able to see.
I'll go slow. So I just catch where that nail catches.
Yep.
And I trim. I just pull that, I just run that clipper edge under the nail and it catches, and that's where you clip. It catches, that's where you clip. It kind of just hooks right on the end of that nail where it needs to be trimmed. There, good. Okay, we got the back feet now. Same thing, those nails are just gonna catch. I don't know if you can see that. You just catch and clip. Catch and clip. Next, catch and clip. Catch, clip. Catch, clip. And that's all there is to these little guys' nails trims. Who's first? Who's first? You're first? Come on up. Come on up, buddy. So I'm still just using a regular people nail trimmer because their nails are still pretty small. I'm able to just take the tips off. I can feel that catch point. Just like on puppies, it's the same as on adults, except I don't do any shaping really with them because they're so small. But you just find that catch point and that's where you clip. But working on this and going through it in a calm manner while the puppies are calm and not fighting is a really great way to start developing good nail trimming behaviors. So I'm gonna get his back ones. As you can see, I'm doing his nails while he's sitting up, so not necessarily on their back like we do some of the older dogs, but he's, like I said, really comfortable and just letting me do this and not fighting. So whatever works for your puppy and your dog, that's what is the best method. Hi guys, you're very interested in me, huh? Yeah. I'm much more interesting than their toys, because I'm not in their whelping box all the time, but the toys are. Hi guys. Or almost all the time. We do take them out though when Muddy's in here, because she sometimes likes to chew up toys, and we definitely don't want her to eat one of them. Oh, you're fine. So she cried, but I definitely didn't quick her. So we're not going to let her get out of getting her nails trimmed or get to pull away. Just like if they're an adult, because we're working on developing these behaviors at this point. Look at, did you see him just shaking this toy over here? So cute.
Oh, he's a little toy killer.
Yeah. Oh, you're fine. So Sprinkle's being a little more vocal about her nail trims, and that's something that I can note on my puppy litter diagram so that I can make sure that these are things that I keep track of so that I can keep working on them. I'll go ahead and write that down here in just a second once I finish her nail trim. But things like, you know, was a little vocal for her nail trim, was squirming around a little bit more. That allows me to keep track of that and say, I want to make sure that I take time to work through that with her and keep working on her tolerance of getting her nails trimmed. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. Move your head. You're being helpful, Thunder? I don't think so. So she's being a little more wiggly. We're going to just help her settle down. Go ahead. Oh, can't see what I'm doing when you put your paw in the way. There. And then she's done wiggling so she can get down. Good girl. Who's next? You want to be next, Rain? Ugh, big girl. Jeez Louise. Come on up. Mm-hmm. Rain's doing a good job not squirming around or fussing too much. The front ones went really easy. We'll do her back ones. Mist says she's going to just zonk out next to me prior to her nail trim. Oh, we must be hitting about mid-morning nap time. Sprinkle says she's going to take a little snooze too. So I'm going to write down quick for Sprinkle.
Would you flip that around so everybody can see once you get done writing?
Yep, okay. Don't chew on it. Stop, stop. I'm going to write up here so that you can't help me. So on Sprinkle, I just wrote, was a little noisy and squirmy for her 4-week nail trim.
And that form is actually available online. We had a lot of people request. This is a form that Kat made and developed so that she could keep track of notes. You can find it on our website, on our online store.
Yes. Okay. Last but not least, little Sleepy Mist. Come here, girl. And again, if you've been following along with this puppy series, you can see how much their coloration is continuing to change and darken through this process. If you go back and watch video 1, oh, you're okay. And so she pulled away, again, didn't quick her, but was a little bit vocal about it. But you can see a huge difference between video 1 and this video of how much their coloration has changed. So I'm going to make a couple notes as well for Mist. She's also being a little more pulling her paws away and being a little more whiny about this process. And I have not quicked her. I've done the nail trims the exact same as the other puppies. So it's just something that we want to make note of so that we can help work on this process with her and with Sprinkle. And continue with Rain and Thunder. There we go. We got through those back ones pretty easy.
Today, to talk about something that's really important with a new puppy. That is nail maintenance, okay? Why is it so important with a new puppy? Their nails, first of all, as little puppies grow a lot, and they're pretty sharp. And also, they're very impressionable at this stage. And setting the foundation for the rest of her life, as nail maintenance is something she's going to have to do until she crosses the rainbow bridge, we need to start that now. What we typically do with young puppies is trim and grind. But if you are staying on top of it, it's one of those things that you won't necessarily need to trim and grind each time. And even with little bitty puppies like this, grinding is kind of still the easiest thing to do. So that's what we're actually going to be doing with Pocket today. Her nails don't need a lot, which is something that I want to stress. Your dog's nails shouldn't look awful or shouldn't need a big trim in order for you to think that it's time to do this. When we work with little puppies like this though, we typically do it while they're on their back, and we take a good amount of time just to work through this process. It has nothing to do with the actual nail maintenance stuff. It's more prepping them to be prepared, to be ready to have their nails trimmed and be acceptable of that. Most puppies are squirming. They're also a lot of times bitey in this situation, and there's a number of different things that can help you. One of which, on their back, you can kind of pinch them with your legs to kind of give you that extra hand, if you will. And then the other is keeping a hand higher up on their chest, or my forearm on their chest, to help hold her. And we give her some time to settle into this. And she's doing a pretty good job. She's had her nails, she's a puppy from our program. She's a Mako Arlo puppy, and she's had her nails trimmed basically every week since she was born. And so she's pretty good at it, but still, as they grow, you're going to see some waves through progressions in training. More so with versatile dogs, I think, or hunting breeds and things of that nature. They go through a spell of things can be kind of easy right off the bat or seem like, oh wow, this is going to be a breeze. And then they hit those almost terrible 2 category in the 3 to 5 month zone, and you're going to see more pushback. She's doing a really good job right now, and you should take advantage of these times for good love, affection, attention zones as well. We're going to go ahead and get started. I have a Dremel dog. It's a Dremel light grinder, and it's got a little grinding band on it, and we're just going to hit those to kind of smooth them out and take a little bit off. If your dog doesn't like this, they get extra squirmy here. There's a fine line with how we move through this process. Some of it is only do a little bit at a time and help them to get used to the process. With dogs like her, I know she's already pretty much used to the process. It can be different depending on where you get your puppy from. But the other side of it is she can only relax and lay here and settle through this for so long. As you can see, I'm kind of moving my arm here. I didn't shut the grinder off. We'll go back in for a little bit more. No, she's nibbling a little bit. Just help her to settle. It's a fine line between helping her settle and her being able to focus on doing this. So the quicker you move through this process, the better off you're going to be while not actively letting her get out of it. There's a couple little nibbles there. I'm not acting positively or negatively to those because they're not bad. Ultimately, I mean, there's times where it can hurt just a little bit, but no reaction is, in a sense, a reaction. And if it doesn't get them what they're looking for, then usually it goes away on its own. If it escalates, then that's a different situation. And that's where reaching out to us at patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels, our online dog training community, that's where we're set up to help you with custom things that are specific to your dog and how you're training and what you're struggling with. If you're looking for a step-by-step guide to your new puppy's development, I would look at standingstonesupply.com/courses. We have an online course that shows you basically, like I said, step-by-step what to do when, a weekly checklist, a daily routine, as well as gives you additional discounts to the other resources that we have, like an online supply store to get all of your dog training needs for bird dogs. And we do one-on-one courses or video chats to help you. We just have a conversation, talk about where you're at, meet your dog, meet you guys, and then be able to guide you through a training session or kind of help walk through the path of where you need to be with things. We have the front ones done already. That was pretty painless. She squirmed around a little bit. I helped her to settle. Now we're gonna go ahead and reach down for these bottom ones. Again, I'm using my arm as an extra hold you here. She's looking around, she's squirming a little bit, but let's roll through these and then I'll show you how we typically finish these sessions out. So pretty minimal pressure that I've got here, just enough to kind of keep her in place. Some grumbles, some groans. I know, life is rough, little girl. Taking the ends off of that, smoothing them out. The backs are going to be different than the fronts. So always look at those. And if you're looking for more information on specifics of nail training, we have a bunch of videos, including one we have labeled Nail Trimming Masterclass. If you go on YouTube here and you search Nail Trimming Masterclass, Standing Stone, it'll pull that video up, as well as a number of different ones that we show the specifics of where the quick is, how much to trim, how much to grind, and we walk through that with a bunch of different dogs there. This is more about the process. Now that her nails are done for this session, we just spend a little bit more time loving. She's given me some licks. That's a good sign. She's settled out here. Make this about you and your new puppy. It's a good thing for them to get used to their ears being rubbed. It's a good thing for them to have their mouth played with, their paws being worked around with. And then ultimately, folks, after a few minutes, if your puppy has settled, you can go ahead, and let them up.
She's a puppy out of our Quest and Chief litter, so she has had her nails trimmed every week since she was born, and so getting her nails trimmed and ground is nothing new. However, puppies become more bold and confident as they get older, so she may decide that she doesn't really want to be in a nail trimming position and be a little struggly and wiggly, and that's something that I want to go over with you guys today on how to handle. So my favorite puppy nail trimming position is on their backs. Just kind of squished between your legs like this, just a little bit, not putting a lot of pressure, but just holding her there. And then that way I have access to her front paws and her back paws without too much difficulty. As these puppies get a little bit longer, sometimes we have to do their front paws and then flip them around and get their back paws. But getting puppies used to being in a nail trimming position and being handled is really important. So having her calm down and settle down in this position is good. We have been cuddling on the couch in this position in the evenings, even though we haven't been trimming her nails, but just getting her comfortable and continuing to stay comfortable being handled like this, which will be really important. She is a hunting dog, but for any dog, it's really important for them to be comfortable being handled, whether we're playing with their paws, looking in their little puppy mouths for their teeth, checking their ears, because that checks, they need to be able to be handled, as well as if you have to do a tailgate check when you're hunting and you have to look them over for an injury, you need your puppy to be able to be okay being handled. So saw she struggled and wiggled a little bit like that. The biggest thing is she learned that, hey, that didn't get her anything and she didn't get out of this position by doing a little wiggling. So I'm going to be using a Dremel nail trimmer today to grind her nails because, like I said, she's had her nails trimmed a week ago. Settle down. We're going to just help her settle down here. I'm just putting my hand across her chest, holding her in position. But there's not a lot to take off, so we're going to grind them down instead of using an actual trimmer. As our dog's nails get a little bit bigger and longer, using a trimmer is completely fine as well. So while I'm holding her here, I can turn my grinder on, make sure it's going at the right RPMs. And this is just using a diamond grinding bit as well. Just a regular sanding bit works just fine. We just have a lot of dogs' nails that get trimmed on the regular. So see, she's wiggling and struggling. I'm not going to let her get out of this situation by wiggling and struggling because this is not hurting her. It's something that she has had done, like I said, over her life every week. So just go right back to it as she settles down. If she gets out of this position and learns that just struggling enough is going to give her what she wants, nail trims are going to become even more difficult because at 9 weeks old, she's still pretty manageable. She's strong for sure, but she's still pretty manageable. Now you think about when she is 12 weeks old, 6 months old, a year old. If we give in to her wiggling and getting out of this situation and not being good about nail trimmings now, it's just going to get worse and be more difficult as your dog gets older and stronger. So we're just trimming these nails, shaping each one so that they're not sharp. Those puppy nails get really sharp easily, just like their little puppy teeth. Unfortunately, we can't grind those suckers, can we? No. So if you're dealing with puppy biting, which is a normal thing, puppies like to explore the world with their mouths and they can get out of hand and play really excitedly like you're one of their litter mates or something. And you need help working through puppy biting, reach out to us on patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels. We have helped tons of people work through puppy bitings and nail trimming and collar conditioning and crate training and so many other things as well. So I'm almost done with that first paw, and she's already settled in really easily. If you want a more up-close and personal look at this process and how it looks to trim and grind these nails and shape them, we have an entire playlist on nail trimming that I highly recommend checking out. From puppy nails to adult nails, from clipping and trimming to grinding, master classes and all of that. So, paw blade, all done. Doing a little bit of wiggling. Just going to reposition her. I might tuck her head just a little bit so that her little nose doesn't get here in the way of the Dremel. Funny. One thing I like to mention is that you don't want to hold the grinder on their nails for long amounts of time. If you've got a dog with really long nails and you have to hold that grinder on there for a long time to get them down short enough and shape them, you're going to want to do this in little sessions and take little breaks because that nail can heat up and get really hot and uncomfortable for them. So we want to make this as comfortable of a process as possible for them to get used to this. So don't let that friction build up with that heat on those nails. Some dogs, the sound of the Dremel can be really uncomfortable for them, kind of startling. Oh, she's wiggling around a little bit. I'm going to help reposition her just a little bit. So some dogs really struggle with the sound of the grinder and that can make them uncomfortable. So just getting them comfortable in this position, turning the grinder on and setting it next to you, but not even using it on their nails is something that you could absolutely do. Yeah. But when you go through this process, You don't want to be in a rush. You don't want to think, oh, I've got 5 minutes before I've got to be out the door or headed to school or headed to work. So let's just quick get our nails ground down. That's not the time to do this because you're not going to be patient. Your puppy's going to understand that you're in a rush and you're kind of anxious and they're going to feed off of that. We want you to be able to stay calm with your puppy through this process. And if I have to take a second to help settle her back down, we'll do that. Okay. Shh. Settle down. Good. Okay. I'm just trying to redirect her focus a little bit when she does get wiggly. And just kind of keep her held here. Hey, wiggling's not going to get you out of this. It's not going to get you what you want. Just like crying in your crate isn't going to get you out of your crate. It's not going to get you what you want. What will get you what you want, which is ultimately to get up, is to like you're calling and quietly get your nails trimmed, and then we'll be done. And at that point, you're welcome to stay and get cuddled for longer. Or once you are completely done and settled, you're welcome to get up and run around and play, probably after a potty break, though, just to build on success with these little guys. Anytime we'll kind of have a transition. So she's been in this position for a while. And when we finish, I'm going to go ahead and take her out for a potty break instead of just letting her get up and romp around in the house because potties have pretty puppy-sized bladders. So I say potties have pretty puppy-sized bladders? Puppies have pretty puppy-sized bladders. And so they can't hold it for very long. And going from a state of kind of being on their backs in a resting-esque position to then getting up and running around and moving around, that can make them need to go potty. So setting them up for success and building on that potty training you're working on. A quick potty break after this is the way to go. Good girl, Bet. I've only got one left after this. One paw now. If you guys are looking for Dremels or nail clippers or styptic powder or any other dog training equipment, supplies. Are you eating your own ear? We have that all at standingstonesupply.com. She's like, yes, I was eating my own ear. Puppy collars, those get chewed up too sometimes. Just one paw, almost done. So she's wiggling quite a bit. I'm not going to give her what she wants of getting away from me. So I'm not holding her tightly. I'm just not letting her struggle and get away. Get your little nose out of there. Now she's kind of up in a more upright position and she's able to get to that Dremel. So I'm going to reposition so that I don't have her chewing on it or getting her nose in the way there. Almost done. You heard me. You speak English now. One last little toe. Okay. Now let's go this way then. Nice. Okay. So we're checking those all look good. So there you have it, guys. All of her paws are trimmed. All of her nails are trimmed. So now she's just going to hang out with me here and get some cuddling. Yeah, and you can see she's a lot more relaxed out of the dribbles off, and I'm not messing with her paws. So this is good practice too. To just hang out with your puppy like this, whether you're trimming nails or just hanging out in the evening. This is a really good routine to add to your day. Right then.
And a lot of our puppy videos, right? We show laying a puppy on their back and helping them to relax there. That's a pretty easy way from a general point of view to trim nails as well as develop some good behaviors with your puppy. I personally, the more nails that I trim and the bigger the dog gets, prefer to do them standing. Now we put them up on a table. You can do it this way or up on a bench, or you can do it on the ground. You would just have to kneel down to their level. Now, with what I want to start with Trick's baby pup here, I want you to look here and see. Can you see on how much overhang we've got of her nails? The shape of them right now, they're a little bit pointy rather than drummeled out here. So to trim these out, we're going to do this with every dog, and I'm going to show you quickly on one or two nails, and then I'm going to buzz through them real quick so that we can make sure and get everybody through in this video. But you can kind of see, I would guess here, this start to curl position in here. Running your nail trimmer. We've heard us say this before. You run the nail trimmer on the underside. Hold still, babe. On the underside of their nail, and what that does, no, you quit now. This is a thing, okay? This is something that you are going to be experiencing with your puppy. They're going to whine. They're going to whimper. They're going to pull away from you. You need to, A, have the confidence, know I didn't hurt you. And B, even if it did hurt just a little bit, them getting out of it is going to make this process get exponentially worse. So what we're doing here, though, is trimming the underside of the nail material. This can grow together, and I will be able to show you, I would say probably grits are our worst nails, or Mama Grit. Her nails just don't get worn the same way. So as much as I stay on top of them, they get a little shorter, but they grow differently. So I'm going to show you the maintenance things that we do for that as well. But let's get started with hers. We've done the underside scraping there, and then we did just a little trim. And hers don't need a ton off of them. We can go through. That last one needed very little. And the first nail, I even just barely quicked, and I wiped the blood. Here, it'll come out here a second. See that one little drop of blood? There. That is almost what you would consider the perfect trim. And the reason for that is exposing the quick like that. It's going to help it to recede and pull away, which allows the nails to get shorter. Shorter nails are less likely to break and have other issues that way. Let's go through and trim these. And Trix, you're being such a good little girl. Looking at the bottom side of her nails, she doesn't have much of that growth, so you don't need to do a ton of scraping. And one other thing, this is more like an advanced movement, if you will. I'm taking, because I have nice sharp clippers, and essentially once we start clipping from the underside, I can kind of roll that up. This is the clipping motion. So as soon as she stops fighting this, good, I give her a paw back. But it's kind of a rolling motion. And what that does is keeps you away from getting that quick. It starts to kind of peel away from the quick, which will give you almost like a bubble-shaped quick on the outside. If you cut straight through that, you'll end up with what I did on that first, which is that little drop of blood. Now, one of my favorites here, and the utilization of the table makes this a little easier. It's kind of more like horsemanship, if you will. We can take their foot here and turn it upside down. You can stand on one of them, babe. And then we can see everything that's going on and trim them. Now, I typically trim the back nails just a little bit different. We trim the front nails at this angle, I trim the back nails at this angle. They don't grow the same, and this is what I've found is the best for lopping them off. Right there, babe. Getting them all lopped off there. Same kind of rolling motion. I don't know if you saw that. That helps prevent you from quicking. Okay, everybody is trimmed up. That took, with all of my explanation, I don't know, 5 minutes tops here, right? So now we're going to take and grind. And what you want to be able to do, when this starts spinning, it is rotating this way. And we want to put that so that it's basically spinning away from the nail. If you are going toward the nail, what's going to end up happening is it catches and bounces a lot more. If you're going away from the nail, you can come through here and take off those sharp corners. That's all we're doing, is taking off those sharp corners, because she's a little baby puppy and doesn't have a whole lot extra nail going on there. This one that I quicked just a little bit, we're not going to hit that too much with the grinder because that'd feel a little bit uncomfortable for her. Come on. Just all the way around the outside there. Good. Now let's go to the back ones. All right, puppy. Turn around. Stop. Same thing applies here. Taking off those sharp edges. Hit the cut portion just a little bit. Seeing that just a little bit, just droplets of blood? Totally fine, folks. A, it didn't hurt that much, if at all. And B, that's kind of a necessity to keep those quicks trimmed back. This is simulating digging, and diggers almost never, ever, ever have issues with their nails. Now, they have issues with other things like giant holes left in your backyard and whatever else, but as far as the nail factor goes, they have no problems. All right, little girl's completely done. We're gonna go ahead and take just a second, switch for dogs. Now, these nails are just a tiny bit longer than the last time that we trimmed them, so we'll actually be able to use the clippers a little bit better here, and then we'll follow up with the grinder. When we look at these, we do a little bit of light scraping underneath, and then make a cut right where that catches. I'm going to move through these fairly quickly, and while we do that, I want to talk to you about routines with your young puppy. You're going to see a lot of repeated things, and everybody gets pretty excited about moving forward and the next big thing, and kind of overlook the fact that the first time that you do something and your puppy does well doesn't necessarily mean that they're done with it, okay? We need to try our training sessions in new areas, and as you're doing that, you're going to be incorporating a lot of things all at once. You're not looking for, okay, I did task A, let's go to task B. You're looking for, I have task A, point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's going to be working on obedience. It's going to be developing, working through socialization, which is going to be involving travel and experiences and time to be a puppy and time to learn what is and is not okay. That's learning the rules at your house, following through with expectations. Just basically what this guy has been doing. We've had some time here at the holidays to spend with this guy, and he's gotten the opportunity to do some playing, learn about new toys. We've done a little puppy proofing. We've allowed some things to still be out and kind of taught him not to play with them by, if you catch him in the act, a gentle, no, that's not okay, and then trade. Here, this is something that's important and you can have this. Let's go play with that. In his day-to-day operations, we are sticking with training on a typically twice a day schedule. There are a few times where those have been cut short with 1 or 2 reps, and then here's the rest of your meal. But ultimately, try and keep your puppies working for their meals on the regular. We've gotten through clipping all of these. It's pretty quick, pretty easy. He did try a little bit of mouthing. There was just and quit that, and then continue on with what are doing. This is extremely mild. Your puppies may fight more than this, and if they do, take it slower and reach out to us if you have questions. We have the ability to help on the regular. We've got an online dog training community set up to be able to answer your questions. That's patreon.com/Standing Stone Kennels. Now, we have our grinder here. This is a Dremel branded grinder. They don't actually make this anymore, and it's disappointing because they're really nice. But Dremel makes a pet version, which is going to be perfect for you. And this is a new grinding bit that I am trying out. As we figure out how much we like it, I will tell you more information about it. But using the standard, I believe they're 120 grit sand paper is what we used for a long time with the wheels. And we're going to do very light grinding just to clean these edges up. Kind of working all the way across the top. And then if there's a little sharp edge on the bottom, we can come back underneath. You don't want to leave your grinder anywhere for a long period of time. Just light touches to kind of take any sharp edges off. The grinding also is going to help to simulate digging a little bit. And when you do this grinding process, it can help expose the quick. The quick within the nail is the blood supply. And once that blood supply is kind of on the edge of exposure, it will actually recede back into the nail, which keeps the nail short. If you've ever seen a dog with really long nails, typically the quick has grown out that entire length, and you can't cut it any shorter than maybe a 1/4 inch shorter or something to that effect. You have to work really hard then to do a little bit of grinding at a time, keep them short, and allow those quicks to recede over time. Not the case with this guy. We're going to try and start him out right by doing a little clipping, a little grinding each time he needs his nails done. We're just waiting that out. Keep him where he's supposed to be. And then after this is all said and done, we're going to give him some love here. That's pretty much it. Now, we do get asked, I like to use a small nail trimmer. These are Safari branded. We actually sell them on our website, standingstonesupply.com. You can check them out there. Your sessions, if you're doing things right, should be short. They should be small, digestible pieces for your puppy. The smaller steps that you're taking in dog training, the faster you're going to get there. Now, there isn't a magic number, though. A lot of times, I know, because I get what you're asking. I want the specifics. How long do I do this so I can make sure and do it right? And there is a lot of situational things that affect that. In this specific session with him, it's pretty quick. It's a short session. He did a really good job. Your session may take longer. Now, in training sessions, they're going to be the same, okay? You're going to have some sessions that it's like, all right, we got in, we got out. It was a 3 to 5 minute window. There's a number for you to play with. Or others are going to be, I had to take more time and be patient to develop the proper behaviors, and it may be a 10 to 15 minute session. Ultimately, though, smaller steps, getting good results, getting out is going to be better for your puppy in the long run. All right, everybody, we're back here with Splash now, and we're going to show you her nail trim, which this is going to be a little bit different. She has a similar wear to Trixie, but not as much needing to be trimmed. We're going to be taking, come a little closer. You're sliding away. We're going to be taking a little bit less off. I'm going to show you. And again, there's really nothing underneath here that needs to be scraped. So we just go through here and get each. Good. Switch to the next paw. Good. Now we'll go to the back ones. And her back ones look really short. Like there will be, yeah. See, I mean, we're able to cut maybe just this little bit off here. Any more than that, they're going to be pretty dang close to quick and pretty bad. So I bit off a little more than I needed to. So I stopped and then came back just a little bit. That's why it's important to have really sharp nail trimmers. They don't last forever, folks. We were just having this conversation a minute ago. Okay, again, all of them trimmed. We're going to take our grinder here. Her nails are a little bigger because she's a little older. So a little bit more grinding than on Trix. Me being right-handed, I like to hold the paw in my left hand. And then those are all done. Go to the next set. Get a little bit right in the middle. Simulate that digging, like I said, to help those quicks recede. I need to get a little bit closer to you. They're all done. Turn around here. Ba-da-ba. Same thing, we could barely trim any, so there's going to be very little to grind. Just shaping them a little bit. Take those sharp edges off. Easy now. And that's it. Get in here and look pretty close at. Stand still so you can see standing how little of her nails are coming in contact with the table. Pretty much nothing at all. That's a good indication that we have. If there's a good way to say it, I mean, you've probably heard your own dogs at home clicking, click, 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 click on the table or the floor. Sounds. We've got to bend her paw all the way over to be able to click those. That's more where you want to be. All right, I'm going to go ahead and grab the next dog. Most of the time we like to let the puppies curl up in our lap. Yeah, Sprig's a fan of this. We're pretty good cuddle buddies most of the time. Good, we'll get him here. And we will start with his nails. We want to make sure that he is not fighting or anything else. So we're going to take our time. We've got plenty of time to do this. We're going to take just a little bit off. Good. Good boy. If he starts pulling or anything else, this little bit of nibbling, we don't want that right now either. So, psst, hey, stop. We'll go back to trimming. Just making those little corrections when he needs them and moving through his nails. Good. Try not to trim them too short, but at the same time, stop. Don't leave them too long, otherwise those quicks will grow out. Good. On to the back ones. Back ones usually don't need quite as much trimming as the front. Got 4 more. Good boy. Now we'll give him just a second. Give him some love. Tell him that he did a good job with this. Yeah. Just to help him to continue to feel comfortable. Laying on his back here. Good boy. And getting his nails trimmed. Good. Now we're done with that. We'll move into his morning meal and training session. Even if you don't have a new puppy, you're just interested in learning how to trim nails, I would also recommend that you're doing this on the weekly. When we do our training videos, we typically say this is the first time that the dog has ever done this, and we're trying to show you real time what this is looking like and how we work through it. Well, with him specifically, he's a puppy from our program. So he's actually had his nails trimmed every single week since the day he was born. This is not new to him, but we're going to show you what a nail trimming session looks like. A couple things that you're going to need. One of which, a nail trimmer. We utilize Safari branded nail trimmers, and I use the small one. A lot of people think I've got a big dog, I need the bigger nail clipper, and I've found that you have a lot more control and it's a lot easier to trim nails with a small nail clipper. So these that we recommend are available on our store, standingstonesupply.com, like most of the things that we use. The next is going to be a nail grinder. We do a little bit of both. Now with little bitty puppies, there's not always a ton that you're going to be able to trim, but you will be able to do a little bit of grinding each week. And the grinding, in fact, simulates digging. And that digging is going to help wear the nails down. And as the nails wear down, the quick or the blood supply inside the nail will recede, which allows you to keep short nails. I'm sure you have probably seen a dog, or maybe even struggling with it yourself, that has hey, that's the microphone. You've seen a dog that has nails that are too long, and that's usually due to not trimming them short enough and not doing any grinding. So to get started, I've got a sweet little puppy, okay? Some of your puppies aren't going to be quite as good at this as I'm assuming, will continue to be, but prepare yourself to take the time to help your dog through this. You need to make sure that this is not I need to trim nails quick, but in fact, I've set aside an hour to make sure that we can do this properly, teach him how we expect him to behave during this process, and ultimately develop a dog that loves getting its nails trimmed through its entire life. So, nail trimmers. We're going to utilize the side of the nail trimmer here to kind of scrape the underside of his nail. This is going to expose a little bit here, as well as show us where there will be a little catch point. Let me see if you can see. I don't know how well you can actually see that, but there is a little bit of a catch point there, and that's going to show you where, in fact, you should trim them. We hear often, my dog has black nails, I don't know where to trim them, I can't see the quick. I actually prefer black nails because it prevents us from trying to use our eyes to go, oh, that looks about like the quick there, and then cut short of that. In fact, you are finding the actual point and where they need to be trimmed. That little bit of scraping goes a long way with opening the underside of the nail too. Typically the nail can grow together underneath, which is also going to prevent the quick from being able to wear, and then aids in the growth of longer nails and longer quicks. So a little bit of scraping, we're going to find that little catch point there, and there's not very much that needs to be trimmed off. When you make your cut, you do not want to make the cut angled. Settle down. We're going to take a second anytime he gets amped up here or tries to struggle away. And then after I explain this, I'm going to move relatively quickly because he can only relax for so long. He can only behave for so long. If we make this take too long with me yabbering on, it's going to be harder for him. But you want your nail trim to be not angled toward the dog or up the dog's leg. You want it to be slightly angled away, which is going to prevent you from quicking. Now we'll roll into this next one. Same scraping process, a little trim. Same scraping process here. A little trim. Very little to come off of these nails here, and that's because we're keeping up on this every single week. All right, now we've got basically perfect trims on all of these, and that very first one, I was right at the quick. We have just a barely spot of blood. Now, somebody trolled not too long ago and said, a good groomer will never draw blood. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you draw just the tiniest faint bit of blood, that is meaning that you are hitting and exposing the very end of the quick, which is going to allow it to recede. We don't want to go anywhere beyond that because it is fairly uncomfortable. But right where we're at there, you didn't see any reaction out of the puppy. It's fine. That is the edge of where you need to be. Let's move on to the next here. Same scraping, little trim. Same scraping here, and another little trim. He's trying to use his mouth a little bit and say, I don't want you to do that anymore. We're doing just a small correction. No. And then go back to what we were doing here. He's not liking that little bit of scraping where it hooks. That is what he's reacted to each time. So we're going to be just a little more gentle, but not let him get out of it. And this is going to be key for you. If your puppy is struggling, take the time, make sure that they're settled down for each nail as you're trimming. Don't rush through it. Don't pin them to the ground. Just whack away. All you are doing there is, I said old, all you're doing there is developing. That is going to be nail trims for life, not what we're looking for. One more little trim there. These look pretty good. Now we'll go on to the back ones. The back nails don't grow exactly the same. Typically, there's going to be less to trim off the back nails. You can do a similar scraping process, but it doesn't work exactly the same as it does on the front. Trim a little bit and rely on your grinder more on the backside there. Now, as a puppy gets older, you can do a little more shaping when there's more nail to be had. When you have more nail available, you can actually trim each side a little bit, and then you can trim the top, and then the other side, kind of cutting around the actual quick. Now, all of these nails are trimmed. We're going to go ahead and use the grinder. We don't have, this is kind of a funny thing. This is a Dremel 8050. This is a model that is discontinued. I wish they hadn't discontinued it because it's really good, but that is the one that I'm still using. They do make, and it's more from a commercial standpoint, it holds up to day in and day out, trimming and grinding nails. There are Dremel pet branded versions that would work fine for you if you only have 1 or 2 dogs. And then I have a diamond bit that we're trying out. I will tell you more about this in a future video. We're currently just evaluating if it's something we want to recommend to you. But we're going to go ahead and turn our grinder on. And we'll just touch the nails. We don't want to leave it on there. It can be hot. It can be uncomfortable. We just want to do just a little bit of shaping and take just the bare ends off because we've already done most of the work trimming. When you trim a square nail, a lot of times what can happen is you leave a sharp edge. So we can take those sharp edges off and simulate that digging just a little bit, which is going to help ultimately our quicks recede. Front ones are done. On to the back ones here. You can see each time I'm just touch, only leaving the grinder there for a short period of time. And that's it, okay? He made this look really easy. There were only a few times that he kind of got a little whiny or struggled just a little bit. And this is the time, folks, that you finish your nail trimming session with a love session. Keep them in this position. Pet love on. A lot of little puppies like he's doing right now can get into the zone of just falling asleep. You want this to be special. You want this to be something that the dogs can look forward to and enjoy. And I don't know very many dogs that don't love their ears scratched and their bellies rubbed.
This is going to be a fun process with her, first of all. She's being pretty squirmy. And it's important to remember especially the first couple times you're trimming your puppy's nails, to make sure you have enough time to do that. We don't want to just tackle her down, pin her down, and quick trim her nails. We want to help her learn to settle down through that process so that though it may take a long time in these first few nail trimming sessions, then as she gets older and has become accustomed to being handled and had the expectation that she needs to behave and lay there nicely to get her nails trimmed, that will make the process as she gets older that much easier to do. So I like to put the puppies on their back like this. And this is going to take a little while. We're going to have to let her kind of settle down and get used to this. Good. We like to use a smaller style nail clipper. It gives us a little more control over the situation and over each nail. Now, Rogue has a couple of black nails and a couple of white nails or clear nails, and we hear a lot of times, oh, it's so much easier to trim my puppy's nails because they're clear, or I can't trim black nails because I can't see the quicks. Well, we don't like to say, oh, well, I can see the quick, it's right there, so I'm just going to cut right there. Because just like through water, things can be distorted, just like through her nail, where that quick is actually at can be slightly distorted. So I would rather go off of feel, how the nail feels and its shape, and where that nail catches is where I like to make that clip. So she didn't fight too bad on that one, but she did try and nip at my fingers a little bit, and I'm going to settle her down and show her that that's not okay. Just grabbing her by the muzzle a little bit like that helps calm her down, settle her down, puts her in a more submissive position. And I want her to submit to me trimming her nails. When I'm trimming her nails, I check and see if I quicked her at all, but no quicks. And if you do get a little drop of blood, it's not the end of the world. Your puppy's not going to hate you forever. That is fine. And if we expose just a little bit of that quick, that'll actually help their nails not to get overly long. Sometimes, especially in older dogs that haven't had their nails kept up on very well, that quick actually grows out longer and longer and longer. And as you're trying to trim that nail, you can't trim it as short as you need to because of how far that quick's grown out. Stop. So I'm going to help her settle down there. It's definitely a lot easier to work with your puppy when they're this size and more manageable than fighting a 40 or 50 pound dog through this process. So we do nail trims weekly with our puppies, whether they really need it or not, just so that they get used to us handling them. This is also a good time to check your puppy's ears, check their teeth, those sharp little needle teeth, and let them settle down through that process as well, because when you have vet checkups and when your dog gets older and you're going hunting and you need to do tailgate checks to make sure they don't have stickers in their paws or seeds in their eyes or anything going on like that, it makes them a lot more tolerant of that process. So we've got one paw done. So just redirecting her focus a little bit from, you're going to get your tongue chopped. So she's licking a little bit at my hands, which can escalate and lead to nipping. So I'm not going to let her do that. I also don't want to accidentally clip her tongue. You can give her some smacks in the nose. I'm not being overly forceful with her, and I might need to up the pressure a little bit because she's strong-willed. Every puppy's a little bit different, and some puppies are going to submit a little bit quicker than others, and some are going to be feisty and fight you the whole process. And we want her to be a little more submissive and not nip at my fingers, because that's not okay behavior. Good. This would be a really good nail. I don't know if you can get a close-up, but how I just exposed that quick. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. So there's no blood, but the tip of that quick is just slightly exposed. Good. The nice thing about putting the puppy on your back and in between your legs is you can kind of sandwich them between your legs and get a little more pressure and control over them if they start getting too flaily. The key thing is you don't want them to fight, cry, whine, and you're running short on time, so you let them get out of the situation. Because then that puppy has learned that, hey, if I just fight and throw a giant fit long enough, mom will give up because she doesn't have time for that. Well, we don't want them to learn that behavior. We want them to learn that, no, I have all the patience in the world and I can deal with you throwing a fit as long as I need to in order to help you calm down. The time we put in now when we're developing a puppy is going to be very important over the entire course of their development. So they're learning now that if I throw a giant fit about my nails, I can get out of it. Or they can take that same mentality of, oh, if I throw a giant fit now, I get out of it for my nail trimming. Well, the same must be true about this training situation or going in my crate. I'll just get out of it if I throw a giant fit long enough. My parents will give in, and we need them to understand that that's not the case.
We had a question here, a comment in regards to David. Thank you for tuning in here. Had the vet do his puppy's nails at 10 weeks old, but she's now 14 weeks old and needs it again.
Yes, so we typically try and trim our puppy's nails every week, whether they necessarily need it or not, just so that they get used to being handled and manipulated and put in these positions so they get comfortable with trimming their nails. Now, I know that vets do trim nails, groomers trim nails, and things like that, but going and getting your puppy's nails trimmed just because you don't have the time for it can get expensive. As well as you can push that appointment off of, oh, well, I don't have time to get them in every week, so I'll just push it to every month. And their nails will get longer and their quicks will grow out, and you won't be able to get the nails short enough. And nail health is really important in all dogs, especially working dogs, because they're working hard, running through the field, and if their nails get too long, they can easily break one of those nails, and it can be very painful, it can get infected, it can cause a lot of issues. So nail health maintenance is very important. But yes, your vet can do it. Groomers can do it. Sometimes we've seen posts and people sharing that it takes 3 vet techs to pin their dog down to get their nails trimmed. Well, hopefully, if you can go through this process, even if your dog is at the vet and they need their nails trimmed, it won't turn into a battle for the vet techs and everyone involved, or they won't have to resort to sedating your dog just to trim their nails. Because when you go to the vet, a lot of times the vet has to check their ears and listen to their heart and do a bunch of other things. So I'm going to probably flip Rogue around here so I can get to her back legs a little bit easier.
We got another question.
Mm-hmm.
What are the best clippers you have found?
We can put a couple links in the video itself of the nail clippers that we tend to use. I usually buy a pair off of Amazon that are the small size, fairly inexpensive. Around here we trim a lot of nails, so I actually go through nail trimmers fairly frequently because they do get dull, and a dull nail trimmer isn't going to do as good of a job, and it's going to break the nail more than it's going to cut and trim the nail, and that's not comfortable either. So Rogue's fighting a little bit more here. I'm going to just take the time to settle her down so that she can't get away and that she understands that fighting's not going to get her what she wants. Just help her settle down a little bit again. Oh, and there's our doorbell. Must have a package being delivered. Shh. Shh. Hey. So she's getting a little more flaily. Another thing that you can keep in mind is, just like our training sessions, we try and keep those short. Nail trimming sessions, you also need to try and, yes, take as much time as necessary and not let your dog get out of the situation when they're fighting. But let's say your puppy is even more of a fighter and a struggler than what Rogue is. Well, make it a goal to, let's do her front paws in the morning. When she's calmed down like this, you can let her up and then do her back nails that evening. Now, we're going to finish Rogue's nails. She only has a few more left, but that's definitely something you can do. You just wouldn't want to let her up and be like, fine, we're done, in the middle of a fight. Shh. We're just about done, baby. I know. Jeez. So, like I said, she's got a little bit of a persistent personality, and she's not going to get out of this situation until she settles down. Shh. Shh. We have 2 nails left. Shh. 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 Hey. So she's starting to get a little vocal about this as well. This is not the time where I say, oh, well, I'm done then. You know, I'm not hurting her. I'm holding her and not letting her get out of this situation. But she's definitely not being hurt. And if she gets what she wants now, of, oh, I cry a little bit and then mom gives in, then she's going to turn to vocalizing about everything. So though we're done, that was her last nail, she's not getting out of it yet. So we're going to hold her here again until she settles down. A couple other things that while I help her settle down, I want to mention is some of the nail trimmers have a guard that swings out over the clipper blades. You never want to use that as a measurement of how much nail to trim off, because like I was mentioning, some dogs' nails that quick grows out a little bit farther than others. Puppy nails are actually, a lot smaller than an adult dog's nails. And each nail gets worn a little bit differently. So I'm going to just swing you around here. There. But so you never want to use that guard as a measurement of how much nail to trim. You want to use the feel of the nail, which we've done quite a few live videos on nail trimming that we can put another link to those in this comment as well, so you can get a little bit better idea of the actual nail trimming process. This was more of a show you how to help your puppy settle down through this process and become comfortable getting their nails trimmed, how to not rush through that process and just hog tie her and quick clip, 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 clip. That's not going to help the process. And you might be able to hog tie her now when she's just this little thing, but as she gets older and as some of your other dogs get older, it's not going to be as easy to hog tie them and quick trim their nails. So
we're going to start here with this little guy by taking him outside and wearing him out. Oh wait, we already did that. We've had the opportunity to work with him this morning. He's gotten to run off a little bit of steam, and that's going to help us. I don't want you to be starting this training with your puppy first thing when you get home in the evening. They need to burn off some steam, and it's going to make it a little easier. Now, he still seems pretty spunky, like I probably could have ran off a little more steam, but we're going to show you how to work through this and help develop good habits. Now, when we start nail trimming, we use smaller puppy trimmers, and these are actually available. There's a link to get some of these on our website on the standingstonekennels.com/recommended items page. The other side of it is any clippers that have a nail guard, I want you to disregard the quick guard thing. That doesn't really do any good for your puppies because nails grow at different rates. Even individual nails on each individual paw, they're only going to need as much trimming as they need. We're going to talk a little bit about how to trim nails, but when puppies are this size, there's not a whole lot of shaping involved. It's more just kind of like a trim the appropriate tip off. Hey, stop that. Trim the appropriate tips off and then go from there. So we are going to wrestle this little alligator. Hopefully not a whole lot, but what we're going to start with is just rolling him over on his back, and we're going to hold him here. The first part of this process is to help him relax. Now, at the same time, he's going to only have so much patience for this, so it's going to take a combination of things. One, helping him to calm down, and then two, kind of getting through the nail portion itself as quickly as possible so that you have the ability to actually finish the nail trim without taking it too far. You know, dogs, puppies especially, only have so much attention span. Again, to begin with, we're just helping him to calm down. I've applied a little bit of pressure with my legs to keep him from rolling too much, but it's not like I'm squeezing him to death. We're just keeping him in the middle here. He's being pretty mouthy right now, which has really not been him, but this may take a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and start. We're gonna go ahead and start here on this first nail. And even little puppies here, you run your nail clippers under the knee. Can you see this here? Okay. Hey, now. The key to this process, and I'm gonna tell you guys, because it looks like he may end up getting to show us some pretty cool stuff. The key to this whole process is that at any point in time during this, he's not actually going to get out by struggling and fighting and wrestling around. As soon as he does that, this comes into reinforcement-based training. That's 100% his idea. Some of the little mouthing and biting things right now, I'm more or less ignoring. I don't really think that there needs to be a whole lot of correction involved with this at this point. We just need to wait him out a bit. Like I said, though, the key... Okay, a little more there. Stop. Ouch! That hurt. Okay, so that is bite inhibition training, guys. Now, I want to make a clarification. This is a nail trimming video, but bite inhibition training is helping him to understand how much pressure is acceptable. In that time, he bit me to the point where it actually hurt. So I said, ouch. And I said it fairly aggressively, if you will, because it hurt, and I know that he's a bold, confident puppy, and he needs that to kind of break through. Now, he immediately went back to biting me, and he bit very, very softly, almost just mouthed. And I wanted to kind of see if he was going to up the pressure again, and then he just quit. So I would expect we're going to see it again, and we'll be able to incorporate that. Ouch! Good. Good boy. Yeah. Good boy. Mouthy puppies, this is turning into a whole new video about biting. But mouthy puppies is very, 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 very normal. Puppies explore their world with their teeth and their mouths because that's pretty much all they have. Ouch! Ouch! Good. That's what we want. Ouch! He's to the point now where he's pretty much just gumming me. There's no teeth pressure or anything else involved in that. And he's still saying, I don't want to be here, but I understand that I can't hurt you. And that is what, ouch! You see, as soon as I say ouch, he's stopping what he's doing, but he still wants to get away. He's struggling to get away, and he's trying to figure out how to do that. Good. No. Good. Now, I want to point out another little thing, right? If I pet him up here by his mouth goes to my hand. And this is something that we see people do fairly regularly. They're like, how do I get my puppy to stop biting my hand? Well, let's start by not putting our hand in our puppy's mouth. That's going to be a big one. I went to giving him a little attention lower, where he doesn't actually have the ability to reach my hands. Ouch! That hurt. Yeah, that hurt. Good. Good boy. So we can pet him down here, kind of away from his mouth, where we're not enticing him to try and put our hands back in his mouth. And you can see that he's starting to calm down a little bit. Ultimately, what's going on here, though, is he wants to run free. Stop now. He wants to not be held in this position. And this is going to be the first step to developing good nail trimming habits, is working through this point, taking the time. This is not something that I recommend. We're going to start our puppy's nail trimming session. You know, we've got to leave in 5 minutes to go to the store or to go to another appointment or whatever. We need to do this like any other training session when we have plenty of time to work through it with him. Now, the more consistent we can be with the actual bite inhibition training, the more he's learning that what is appropriate force that he can use with his mouth. And after he's learned that, where he stops biting me hard, then we can actually make corrections when the behavior happens and teach him it's not okay to bite anymore. So I've already seen really good progress in that. And I think that you guys can probably see, even though he's still struggling to get away, he's not really trying to bite me like he was right from the beginning. The more patience that we have early in the game with our little 9-week-old puppies, the lot easier it's going to be when they hit that 6-month, 7-month, 8-month range, when they start to get really big. This is easy right now to hold him. Doesn't take any effort at all. Just holding his legs and he can't move. But if he was 50 pounds or 60 pounds or 80 pounds, it becomes one heck of a wrestle match. I think we've calmed a bit. I'm going to start to move into nail trimming and then kind of see what he throws at us and where we have to go from there. So we're going to start up front. So get out of the way, you little nail guard. We don't need you. We're just going to trim just a little tip off. We'll go to the next one. Good. When you're working through this process, do the best that you can not to let go of his paw. Now, I got a little distracted because there's a lot of things being thrown at me, and it's more important than me continuing to make coherent thought processes. It's more important for me to actually work through the training session with him, and you guys get the visual aspect of it. But we want him to understand that he's not going to get out of this. And I lost my train of thought there a little bit. What was I about to say? I have no idea. It had something to do with him not getting out of it. I don't know. So at this point, though, we've gotten through one.
So it was important not to let him get his paw away from you, if possible.
Yeah, that was it. But it was something even before that. So
Vocalizing?
Vocalizing any of it. I don't really remember. I might think of it before we get done here. But we have one paw done. And the key to when you're working with these little puppies is that they don't get out of it. That's what it was. It was reinforcement-based training. So in this process, if he struggles and fights and gets what he wants, then he has reinforced himself positively, negatively. Negative reinforcement. He has a mild annoyance right now, which is me. He gets out of the situation. It is negative reinforcement, but it's reinforcement-based training nonetheless. Am I thinking that through right? Okay, so he has me as the mild annoyance. Later, we're going to replace that in his life with an e-collar. But
Not typically for nail trims.
But not for nail trims, just training in general. So he has me right now as that mild annoyance, and he can shut me off basically by fighting and getting away. If we show him that that works by letting him go, then he gets the opportunity to win, if you will, and that's going to be a bigger battle the next time around. Reinforcement-based training is very, very powerful, and the key with the whole process, even if you don't get nails trimmed because your puppy is struggling too much and you maybe aren't the greatest at trimming nails so you don't feel 100% confident, just doing sessions like this where the puppy has to realize he can't get away for nibbling or fighting or thrashing or anything else. Yeah. No pressure here. All we're doing is this is him speaking out in protest against having to lay here. Good. Let's move to the next paw. Again, there's very little to actually trim off of these, so I can't show you any true shaping or anything along those lines at this stage in the game. If you want to again, he's fighting, thrashing. I'm holding on to just this paw so that we can keep him here. Not giving to him his paw to show him that fighting, he can get out of stuff. He pulled it out of my hand. Not the end of the world, but now he's fighting harder because he won. So, the key to developing this properly is just being able to wait it out. Got another one away. I got to do a little better job of holding on. We're all human, we all make mistakes, and I would expect that at some point in time it's going to happen to you, but to the best of your ability, try and make sure that you hold on and don't give to his fighting. Okay, so he's relaxed his paws up here. Now we're going to go to the back side. Now as soon as I take my attention off of his front half, it's going to give him the ability to hop up out of or try and roll out of or fight or thrash a little bit more up front. So I'm actually going to utilize my legs just a little bit more and apply just a smidgen of pressure because I don't have anything else holding him up here. And if he tries to roll out, I don't want him to be able to get away. So it's just a little bit of pressure here to kind of keep him in place. Once we finish up the actual nail trimming process, no, it didn't. Sorry, bud. Good. It's an absolutely fantastic session. It's showing you what a real puppy can look like and probably what some of your puppies are looking like at home, which is why you're watching this video. 100% protest to say, I don't want to be here anymore. So we're just going to make sure we've stopped nail trimming again just to hold him and make sure that he's calming down and relaxing, kind of giving to this a little bit of pressure here, a little bit of pressure here. It's just saying, hey, relax. When he calms down again, we'll go back to trimming. Now, one thing that I can see a lot of people doing, and we do see people do fairly regularly, is during this time they would be saying, oh, it's okay, Thunder, you know, it's all right, buddy, we're just trimming your nails, you know, this is part of life. Well, all of that reassuring, you know, almost syrupy type talk of sweetness is also something that we utilize in other parts of training as positive reinforcement. We're saying, hey, buddy, you're doing a good job, or, you know, good boy, or all of those things that come out of our mouth really sweet-like are ways to reinforce him positively in other forms of training, and you have to think of it the same way here. So if I'm saying, you know, it's okay, Thunder, or whatever, he's hearing that what he's doing right now is in fact a good thing. Which it is not. We don't want him to be doing this. We don't need to apply any type of correction here. We just need to be able to be patient and wait him out. Again, protest. I don't want to be here. Maybe if I scream and thrash and fight a little more, you'll let me go. Now, in this process, if you give up and give in to the little terrorist right now, it's only going to get worse. And it'll get exponentially worse. Just like when we show in training, we mark behaviors, reward positively. That reinforcement-based training gets puppies to do their sitting behavior, their kenneling behavior, their targeting for here. They pick that up very, very quickly. And the same thing can apply here. It just takes one session to go from this, he's kind of escalated this, pushback here. And if we give in to it, it's going to get exponentially worse the next time we try. So you've got to be ready and in for the long haul if you've got a little puppy that's going to fight and thrash.
Some puppies are more persistent and determined than others.
Yeah, and typically bird dogs in general have a lot of persistence. That determination, if you will, applies to being a solid hunting dog. They've got to have that determination to be able to work through harsh conditions, cold water, cold weather, digging through deep snow, anything. Anything and everything that we're doing when we take them hunting takes grit and takes desire and takes determination. And he has made it up in his mind that he doesn't want to be here. And all of those good bird dog and hunting dog characteristics are showing through in this too. He's made up his mind, and we're going to help him to unmake up his mind. Now, I do want to point out the fact that he has already stopped attempting to bite me. He's kind of given up on that. He learned that hurts, and he doesn't want ultimately to hurt us. He just wants to get away, and that's no longer a viable option. Now, we've seen quite a bit of relax here. I'm going to try and go ahead and continue trimming these back nails. A little bit of pressure with my legs just to keep him here. Well, he didn't let go of this paw when he started to pull it away from me. Good. A little bit of verbal reinforcement for this calming behavior. Even though he's got a little bit of a squeaky wheel going on there still, he's really relaxed. His front paws are relaxed. His body, I can feel that here between my legs. He's relaxed. So I gave him back this paw. He can have it. We're going to switch to this one. I think we're there, guys. He's just about gotten to the point of completely giving in. There was no rolling, fighting, thrashing at the end there. And now, this is going to be one of the most important parts of the whole process. We're going to take more time just to love on him. And show him that this laying on his back and relaxing is an important part of life. Now, this to me says we need to put a lot more focus on this with him. In the evenings when we're hanging out, he's going to spend some time just laying on his back, completely unrelated. I'm not going to get the clippers out and touch his paws or do anything else like that. It's just...
Because he's not really fighting the actual male trait.
No, it's just solely related to not wanting to be on his back in this position. Good. Good boy. Okay, so as soon as, and I think we're headed there pretty quickly, as soon as he relaxes completely, and his whining stops, all the things, I'm going to tell him he's a good boy and let him up. I think the less that I talk, the faster we're going to get there. Good boy. See, now we can tell him he's a good boy. Okay. Timing is very important, right? We wanted to show him that in that moment, right there, he got some verbal praise, and then he got what he wanted. That's how you get what you want. You want to get up, you don't want to be here anymore, you need to lay calmly and quietly and be patient, and then you get up. And that through continuing that through his development training, he's going to figure out that this is all I have to do to get up. And then we're going to extend the amount of time that he lays there and be able to build a behavior where he's always going, all I have to do here is lay calmly and quietly, and then they'll let me up. But I don't know for how long. So make sure, guys, when you start trimming, to trim your dog's nails, make sure you have plenty of time and patience, as well as if you have little bitey puppies, this is how bite inhibition training works. I told him, ouch, that hurts, and made enough noise for him to understand what was going on without scaring him or at the same time exciting him. A high-pitched yip sometimes can be more exciting. And that's not the goal. We're not puppies, but we need to communicate similarly and just say, ouch, that hurts. So in this session, we got to work a little bit on bite inhibition training. We also got to get the little guy's nails trimmed. And I learned that we need to put some more focus on this. He definitely needs help with learning how to calm down. And we're going to be incorporating this into his training on a regular basis. Every day, he's going to spend just enough time laying on his back, relaxing, until he is chilled out, and then we'll let him go. And that's going to get progressively less and less and less time. I've got Thunder here, and if you guys watched the last session, it was pretty bad. I mean, he got grumpy, he had some puppy biting stuff going on, he definitely was not excited about the process, and he's a pretty bold and confident puppy. He's interested in going and getting Scout now. We've been working on this a little bit with him to where we've been working on just the position of holding him here this last week, but it's definitely time for him to get his little nails trimmed again. So we're going to show you any progress, if there is any, kind of what that looks like. Today also I have my Dremel ready, so we're going to try. He's rolling right into it again. Hey, stop that now. So we're just going to allow him to settle down first, and then we will move into trimming the nails. Ow. Good. You see how we got his attention? He's in an early enough stage in development that being able to use some form of verbal, and this is going to be different for every dog, but I said, ow. He understood that, whew, that hurt or whatever, and he paused for a minute. Then we can tell him he's a good boy. Good job. And we're going to work on trimming the nails. Again, when we talk about bite inhibition, it's not necessarily about preventing him from biting you. It's teaching him the amount of force that he can use when he bites, which should be virtually non-existent. So things like that. He put his mouth on my hand, but there was almost zero pressure used. So, lots of squirming. You're supposed to be doing better than this. Give him just a little bit to relax here. This is the other side of it is old Thunder here hasn't done a whole lot today. We've been working, getting some stuff done. He had a short training session this morning, but then has spent a little bit of time crate training aside from his outside potty breaks and then back in. So he could be, it's middle of the afternoon. He could be kind of just on the edge of ready to do something, which is going to make really one of the more difficult times for us to do this. But at the same time, it's a good thing. He's definitely not bad enough that this is impossible to work through, but he's got enough things to work on that this will allow us to show you kind of how to do that. Ow! Good. Good job. That's what we like. Yeah. At the same time here, avoiding putting my hand in his mouth. He wants to do that because he wants to chew on things, he wants to mouth things, but ultimately, if my hand's not in his mouth, he can't bite my hand. So petting the side of his head and working through that. Shh, big, slow, calm rubs. Good. Let's do this side. We're going to do all of the... A little bit of, I guess, positive punishment in that situation, but a little correction for thinking that this is the answer again. I'm using just a little bit of pressure here with my legs to kind of keep his front end down on the ground. He's just a little itty bitty puppy. This is the best time to be teaching these good behaviors. We don't want to just be pinning him down and having someone else come in and clip, 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 done. That doesn't teach him how to eventually work through this. So we're spending as much time working on him laying here patiently as we are working on actually trimming his nails. Because he seems to be putting up more of a fight for the fact that he is just laying here than actually putting up a fight for no. Good job. We'll go ahead and trim again. You can see his mouth coming toward my hand again, like he thinks maybe if I bite his hand, he'll stop doing this. But then he stops halfway. Just his nose touched my hand. He's like, I think I should probably, ow! Again, a situation where any part of us, clothing, anything else is gonna be, and he actually bit my leg, my knee here. We don't want that to be something he thinks is an option. When he's not biting, stop that, relax. Then he's gonna get a little bit of attention, calm, affection. We don't wanna be riling him up with a, oh, good boy, kinda anything like that, just good. This is the good behavior. This is what we're looking for. And we'll go back and try and trim another one here. Good job. So we have both of the front paws done. This is going drastically better. You can still see a little bit of this pushback from him, but it's going drastically better than it did last time. So as we spent about a week here working on just chilling out in this position without any nail trimming. Good. Now we're going for the back side here. We'll get these a little bit closer. Again, I'm applying just a little bit of pressure here. Ow! Good job. And we're gonna trim the back ones. Shh. You need to be fairly efficient and fairly confident in your abilities to trim nails. So this is gonna take practice, and understand that if you both are practicing together, you know, it's more or less the blind leading the blind, right? And that situation is gonna take you a little while to get there. So don't be discouraged if it takes time. The key is gonna be that we can put the emphasis on him not getting away with nipping or biting or chewing, as well as him not getting out of this, this position while we're working on this session. Shh. We're gonna go back here and trim again. If we let him out, this would be more or less considered negative reinforcement at this time. I am his mild annoyance. He is not overly enjoying this game. If he gets out and me, the mild annoyance, shuts off, it says we've reinforced the behavior that the more he fights, he'll eventually get out, and that's going to strengthen that behavior of fighting and pushing back for trimming his nails. We've got to take the time to put in the effort now while he's little to teach him that no matter how much he fights, he's not going to get out of this till we get done. And then once we get done, we're going to help him to relax and be calm here before we end the session completely. We were able to trim just a couple nails at a time and then give him just a little bit of a break. Again, we're looking for not fighting, pinning him down. We want to be trimming nails when he's doing things right. Good boy. Again, a slight verbal correction, a little growly noise that says, quit that. Don't even think about it. If he actually bites me, that's when I say, ouch, that hurt, and show him that what he did just then was too much pressure to bite me with. Good. You can tell that even me, I've tried to calm my presence down as much as possible. I've got a almost whispery type of voice going on. It's all to be as calming as possible with him here. Bite your own ear. How's that feel? Goofball. All right, let's see if we can get the last two done here. Nope, we got one done. Sliding my hand up onto his chest here helps me direct his head and his muzzle, keeps his mouth away from my hands, all which is preventing him from trying to bite me, which is ultimately, well, preventing him from being able to bite me, which is going to ultimately be developing the behavior if he doesn't do that. If I were to go up here and say, oh, then he instantly has access to my hands and can bite me. My hand down here on his chest, I can kind of better direct what's happening. Keep his chest pinned down, help control him in his position, and then prevent him from being able to get to my hand with his mouth. I don't want this to be a constant game of correction. I don't want this to be a constant game of working him up. We want this whole process to be as calming as is possible. Again, trying to nibble at my pants can't actually get it done based on this position. Let's see if we can get the last nail trimmed. Yeah, I went for it, even though we were struggling. Now we're gonna give him a minute, and then we're gonna move on to grinding. These could take just a little bit of grinding this week, and this will be something new for him to work on. This will be the first time that we've ever ground his nails with the Dremel. I don't want to be petting him or praising him when he's whimpering or whining. All of those would be reinforcing those behaviors. So as soon as he's calm and quiet and relaxed, then he gets attention. When you start the session with your puppies, make sure you have plenty of time to work through it. Don't try and rush this. I have no pressure. My hand is resting on his chest. I'm not actually holding him here, nor am I holding his back paws. So he's pretty relaxed right now. Good. That split second of him quieting down. Now we're gonna actually rotate him around this way. I'm gonna show you, we've got our Dremel tool here. This is I don't have any idea what model it is. It's a Dremel. What model is it?
I'd have to double check.
Okay.
We can put it in the description.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description. So here we're wanting the rotation of this Dremel is going to be basically spinning this way. And I want to lay stop please. I want to lay his nails. I'm gonna deal with you first. Stop please. Okay. I want to lay his nails like this. So they're not going to be bouncing. Dig, 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 dig. It's just going to be riding right on that. So I can do it with my own nail here. And that's about all the longer we're gonna put the Dremel actually on his nails. And I'll show you how this. First of all, it is gonna vibrate a little bit. Stop. It's going to take, he's figured out this biting aspect of things pretty well. He is not going for me very often. And when he does, he realizes that's skin or that's dad, and he stops almost instantly. The pressure is very, 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 very minimal to nothing at all, which is how that bite inhibition training is working. We've got a pretty good understanding that he knows how much force he should be using, which is a pretty small amount. And now we're gonna actually be able to move into a few more corrections basically for the behavior. That a little pop on the nose, no, stop, and say that's not okay. Good. Again, I've got my legs tucked up here to kind of keep his butt pushed up where I've got access to him. I'm going to go ahead and take my arm that's going to lay across his chest, and then I've got a hold of his. This gives me the most control over where he's going. Again, I'm not really pinning him. I've got the arm bar move or something, whatever you want to call it, so that we have a good idea control-wise of where he's going to be moving so that he doesn't escape. The whole goal would be to teach him that there is no way to get out of this, so eventually you're going to stop trying so that we can just get through this and be done. A little bit of trimming right here, a grinding, excuse me. No more than about that on the nails because it can get hot. Good job. So we'll shut that off for a second. That was new to him, and you could see that noise that the Dremel was making really pulled his focus away from what was actually happening here. He was just interested in the noise coming from the Dremel. Some dogs are going to be worried, freaked out, upset, unsure of the Dremel and the vibrating on their pads or near their pads and on their nails. And one thing that you can do with that is actually take and just apply the Dremel, the back of the Dremel here while it's still running to their paws and kind of help to desensitize that. Because you wouldn't want to leave the grinder on his paws that long. Good. Once he stops, then stops struggling or squirming around, then we can stop. It's going to show him that to end this, basically he needs to lay still. And eventually he's going to figure out the longer I lay still, the faster I can get through this. All right, we'll go to the back ones here. Struggling a little bit. I've kind of got a little bit of pressure with my legs, a little bit of pressure with my arm here. Stop. Still got a hold of him. I'm going to shut the Dremel off so that I don't actually get him with the Dremel tool. Stop. And then we'll resituate him. We got one paw left. He was doing really, really well. Good. And get reset up here. This time my right arm is going to come across his chest, and we're going to grab this back foot here. No, that's not working. That's not working. You just want up. He's squirmy worming. Okay. Arm pressure across his chest just a little bit. It's very light pressure, but it's going to help me to be able to tell when he's trying to lean forward or sit up, so I can prevent that. A little bit of grinding here. Now, if your puppy gets really upset or really overwhelmed with the Dremel tool, we're done, but now we need to work through the last part of this, which is settling down. If your puppy gets upset with the Dremel tool, you may just work on turning it on to begin with. Stop, pup. Turning it on to begin with and helping them to settle down just with the Dremel on, getting used to the noise, and then getting used to the vibration, which they can feel through the Dremel itself, and then moving into the actual Dremeling process. Can be something, every dog's going to respond to that just a little bit different. But now we'll take a couple minutes here, however long he needs, to help him relax. Kind of show him the very fun and enjoyable part of this grooming session, which is just going to be some love and affection and quiet time with Dad here. We're looking for full relaxedness out of him. Nothing tense, nothing tight. No struggling, and I don't want to have to be restraining him in any way, shape, or form. So already we've got less pressure with our legs. He's still kind of struggling up front here. We're just resetting him each time, and helping him to calm down. As soon as I let go of that little bit of pressure here, he's trying to sit up again, and we want to get him to the point where he's just going to relax through that whole process. Right here, just relaxing. You can see each time I kind of take my hands up, that's when he's springing to try and get out. all of our puppies I'm going to have just lay here until they figure out, you know, there is no escape. When Dad says we're done, that's when it's okay to be done. You can definitely tell that he's getting tired of this, and he keeps struggling and keeps fighting. But at this point, if we let him go during this process, the next time we attempt to do this, it's going to take longer and longer and longer. Good boy. So what we saw there was he finally got to the point where he settled down. It didn't take too terribly long. I'm sure my camera lady is thinking that took forever, but it took a few minutes. And what I noticed there while he was with me is he finally went, and I wanted to show him at that moment, that relax, that deep breath that you just said, that was good, and we want to reward that. So I ultimately gave him what he was looking for, and if we can get to that moment faster next time, it will be better for both of us. So guys, this is an update. I think you'll be able to see a huge progress from the first nail trimming to this nail trimming, and we'll be able to show you what our next nail trimming looks like. So we can see a 3-week progression of how he moved through being kind of a turd about getting his nails trimmed to, I would assume, being a pretty dang well-behaved puppy. All right, everybody, we are back for another update on Thunder's nail trimming progress. Now, if you already subscribed to our channel, you've probably been following along with Thunder, watching his first video where he was, how do we describe this? Horrible. And then his second video where we saw some progression, but it took a long time of, again, perfect timing, waiting until he relaxed and then letting him go and showing him that's what we want. And then lots of repetition in between those sessions where we did just evening training sessions of holding him on his back here, helping him to relax. And this is early morning. He's pretty pumped up. He's pretty excited, but we have made really good progress with his nail trims. And we're going to show you what that looks like today and how we're continuing to kind of help him continue to progress. We want a puppy that's going to be very easy all through their life to be able to trim their nails. So again, helping him to start the session by taking a second to help him relax to begin with. And he's kind of getting there. See, these guys are relaxing out. He's a puppy. He's excitable. He's sniffing around, checking things out. But We want him to be chilling, and then we'll get started with his nail trim. Now I have clippers and I have a grinder, both, that we will work through. Good. And we're gonna go ahead and get started right up front. His nails have been trimmed. I think the last time I trimmed his nails would have been about a week ago, which is pretty close. Unless you are trying to start with a dog whose nails are horrible, you should be able to trim them about once a week. If that's gonna be your general nail maintenance. If you are, this little squirming isn't a big deal, just to point that out. He's squirming around just a little bit, but he's not trying to bite me. He's not fighting excessively to try and get out of here. But if you have a dog with horrible nails that you're trying to fix and trying to work through and use these videos to get better, you probably need to do trimming sessions once a week, and then grinding sessions midweek, very light grinding, but you're gonna keep those quicks exposed and help them to eventually recede. But it takes time and consistency. If you're starting out with your puppy trying to do it right and prevent them from getting too far gone, about once a week, if you're doing it right, is about all you'll need. So the key to this process is not letting him out of this situation. He is squirming just a little bit. We don't want to give him his paw. We don't want to tell him, oh, it's okay, you're done, you fought a little bit, we're tired of dealing with this. We've made sure we have plenty of time to work through it. And that's it, guys. The front 8 are trimmed. Now we're gonna go to grinding. And he says, whoa, what is that noise? So get him laying here. Put just a little bit of grind time in here. Kind of taking those sharper edges off. All right. We even did a little bit of work with just desensitizing to the grinder. That's kind of been a bigger thing for him. I'm not letting him go. I'm helping him to reset, and then we'll go again. I set the grinder down because I didn't want to accidentally grind his nose or something while I was wrestling him. Now, we've shown this in several different videos, but I know sometimes people are just bopping in for the first time, or this is the first video that they find. I do want to show you this grinder here isn't the end of the world, but if we let that sit in one place too long, it's gonna get hot really fast. So when I'm doing the grinding on his nails, I am just, stop bud. I'm just touching the corners, just barely. We don't want to leave it on there to grind too long. Just doing just a little bit, moving on to the next one. Again, essentially knocking any sharp edges off. Good job, bud. And that's the end of his front nails, folks. Now, I want to probably just throw a quick little blip in here right over top of us right now, where you can actually watch the disaster that was his first session, where he's fighting and biting me and screaming and thrashing and throwing a big fit. So you can kind of see either a side-by-side comparison or something to that effect. And but you can see how much we have changed, and he is now, how old is he? He's just 20 weeks old, or 5 months. So in the time from 8 weeks, so this has been a 3-month progression, but we now have a 5-month-old puppy. And he's right on that tipping point where he's going to be rolling into the really big, really hard to handle size and not very long. So staying consistent, staying on top of it, not giving in is really paying off for us. And we're going to go to the back. And when we trim the back, those nails don't grow the same as the front nails. They tend to wear just a little bit different. And typically for me, I trim less off the back than I do off of the front. Now, your dog may be different. They all wear differently, but typically less comes off the back than the front. Here we go, guys. We have 8 more nails clipped. Let's go ahead and grind. Again, you can see he's a little more sensitive to the grinding than he is the actual clipping. And that's just gonna take some more desensitizing, helping to understand that I'm not worried about it, so he shouldn't be worried about it. We don't want to sit here and tell him, oh, it's okay, buddy. You know, fight around, thrash, be a turd, and what you're doing is a good thing because we're sweet talking him or verbally praising him for doing naughty things. We're essentially ignoring the bad behavior, not letting him get out of it, and then showing him what our expectation is and what he needs to do to get rewarded or for this to end faster. That's it. You did really good with that. So we're gonna give him just a second, give him some love. Don't just let him explode out of here, we're done. Just give him some love. He's eating that up. Yeah, buddy. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think we found an itchy spot. Where was it at? His back leg started kicking. Meow, 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 meow. There. Oh, 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 oh. Just relaxing. Spend some time. Love on your puppy. Tell them they did a good job now. And then when you're ready and he's relaxed, okay, he can get up. And that's the end of the session. Come on. Good. So here is little Twisty. You're looking here close. You can see her nails are a little bit longer. This comes down to knowing each individual dog. These actually look really long, and we're going to kind of evaluate what's going on with that. But some dogs don't wear their nails as well. And there's only so much you can do from a grinding standpoint and a cut trimming standpoint. They just look a little different. So I would say usually less active, less busy dogs tend to have longer nails. They don't grow out as much because they aren't wearing them as much. Now, the busier dogs, if you will, usually are working those and they're digging and they're moving. And so Twister's a very sweet girl. This makes sense for her nails to be a little longer. So come on, babe. We'll get up here. We'll start taking a look here. Again, there's not much growth happening underneath yet. And I know that we'll get to see a little bit of that probably on Grit's nails, but then we're going to come under here and start the trimming process. Can you zoom in on that? That little dot right there. Is that focused on that? Good. So that little dot, that's the quick. That is like the perfect, and that's what that almost rolling technique kind of helps with, is to expose without actually trimming. Now, when these nails are getting bigger, you're going to see this difference because with the puppies that haven't had to do much shaping, her nails are getting a little bigger. We're going to be able to start shaping a little bit. So we can cut corners and then cut on top of that quick and then cut the next corner. So that's 3 additional cuts. And we'll go to the next nail. Cut that top part, cut each side. The bigger the nails, like I say, there's a lot more to the trimming portion. Stop pulling on me. Okay, let's go to this next paw. That isn't too bad, Twister. Corners, and again the top. Really sharp clippers make this easy. If you're struggling with it a little bit, you probably need a little sharper clippers. I would say on average one of the biggest mistakes, okay, write this down. One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make is they go off of what the store recommends. It has a big pair of clippers that are like this big, and they're like, I mean, they look like you should probably be utilizing them to trim the hedges outside. And they go, those are dog clippers. And they take those home and they try and work with them. These smaller little clippers allow you to be more precise and cut what you actually need to, and they can handle 99% of dog nails. So yes, you happy little sweet thing. Let's turn her around and then we'll start the grinding process. Okay, again, these aren't quite as bad as what the front looked. We've changed our angle and we're going to clip through these. Next paw. Good. Grinding time. And pull this paw to me. You can see that full exposed quick. Bigger dogs, that quick gets bigger. And we're running that grinder right on top of it just a little bit, which is, whoop, I hit the wrong button. I hit the wrong button, folks. It scared me. We're going to grind on that just a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit, which is going to help her nails to recede a little bit. The quicks to recede, which allows her nails to be shorter. Okay? There's about the perfect amount of grinding. We've got that one little itty bitty drop of blood. We don't want to go any farther, though. Don't leave your grinder in one spot. That's going to make it hot and uncomfortable. Just get rid of all of these, all of the sharper corners from just trimming. Come closer. You keep pulling away. Sit down there. Good. All right, next one here. Okay, check this out all the way across here. We've got exposed quick, exposed quick, exposed quick, exposed quick. That one's almost completely protruding out, which is awesome. These are all, man, good job. Let's do the next set here on the back. Turn around now. We've got one just barely quicked there. You can see it makes a pretty sharp cutoff here. And what we're doing is we're taking those two corners off and then rounding around that point just a little. Get through all of them. Ta-da! She's got a little bit of length that needs to come off of that one, and that's going to take a little time probably. But the same thing on both her second toes there. Those toenails are just a smidgen longer. You can see they're not clawed over anymore.
Hi, Kat here with Standing Stone Kennels, and I have Quest with me today to show you how we trim dogs' nails. We get this question a lot. How do you go about trimming dogs' nails? How do you get them used to trimming dogs' nails? And the answer to that is, A, we do this with our dogs on a very regular basis from puppyhood on. If it's a litter that we've raised and developed, we've been trimming their nails every week since they were born. If it's a puppy that we get from another litter, that's something that we start on the weekly with once they turn 8 weeks old. It's important to be patient. It's important to take your time. It's important to be relaxed and feel comfortable when you're doing this, because they can feed off of your nervous energy. So if you're nervous about quicking them, or you're not sure what you're doing and you're trying to rush, they're going to feed off of that and they're going to get more anxious. They're going to fight more. They're not going to be comfortable. So take a breath, be patient, stay calm, and trim on their nails. So we are going to be using these nail trimmers that we have on our recommended items page on our website. They are a small. Safari is the brand name. They work really well. They're small. This is the size we use on puppies. This is the size we use on adult dogs. As you can tell, Quest's an adult. So this smaller trimmer though allows us to have more control over the amount of nail we're taking off and allows us to do a little bit of shaping as well. We're not going to use a Dremel today, but hey, in the future we might throw a video out here that has the use of a Dremel as well. What else was I going to say? Oh, nail guard. So this nail guard that shows, oh, you should take that much off of the nail. Don't do that. Slide that out of the way and don't use it. Because it's more about where the nail needs to be trimmed and not where this tells you the nail needs to be trimmed, because nails wear differently. Dogs need their nails trimmed more or less depending on just how their nails grow. And so we can't use some man-made device to tell us how much to take off. So I'm going to go ahead and scooch Quest a little bit out of the way. I got to sit. Helpful. So a lot of times you probably see us trimming the dog's nails on their backs. Yep. Get comfy. So she is going to get flipped onto her back, and I'm going to give her a second to get comfortable. Like I said, she has had her nails trimmed like this for a very long time. I actually think you were in another nail trimming video that we did. But I'm going to trim her right side, front and back, while she's on her back like this. But then I'm going to show you another technique of how you can trim nails with her sitting and standing up when we do her left side. So hopefully I don't get my sides confused. So I want to go slow so that you can see what I'm doing. She's super calm and easy about this, and she's going to give us some patience to work through trimming. So her nails are black. People always say, well, I can't see where the quick is on a black nail. That's so much harder. Well, I could probably trim her nails with my eyes closed, because it's more about a feel of where that trimmer catches, that clipper catches on her nail, than seeing a quick. I'm not going to trim them with my eyes closed, but I could. Maybe I'll trim them with Quest's eyes closed. She'll probably fall asleep here during this process. So first I'm going to just show you, and let me know if you can see this. So I take that clipper and I run it under the bottom edge of this nail. And it catches. It's catching right there. So now I'm going to make a perpendicular cut. That seems like a decent amount to cut off, but I could take less or I could take more depending on where that catch point is. Then I'm just going to clip. No blood, no foul. Just kidding. I knew that there wouldn't be blood. So then I can look at that nail, and I can definitely take off more. That's not soft yet under there. So we're going to go ahead and take another thin slice off.
It's important to mention just what you just said there. Taking small little slivers at a time is a pretty good idea.
We're getting there, getting a little bit closer. I don't know. So can you see that very light spot in the middle here?
Yes.
If I feel that with my nail, it's soft. So that's the more of the live tissue that we're talking about. The shell, that's all hard, that's all dead. And that's what we're trying to take off to get closer to exposing that quick so that the nails can stay short. Or if you've got dogs with really long nails, getting that quick exposed will eventually shorten that nail as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little shaping where I'm just cutting the edges off around that. You could also do this with a Dremel, but like I said, I don't have that right now today. And by shaping, I'm just taking the sharp edges off. Now that nail's really smooth, it's not going to scratch me, and we're allowing that quick to start being exposed. Okay, ready for the next one? So I'm going to feel that catch point, and I'm going to make a perpendicular cut. And I can feel these trimmers are starting to not be as sharp. I can feel I'm having to exert a little more pressure than cutting. So this for me would say, hey, I definitely need to look at getting a new clipper, because that pressure, especially if you've got a dog that's not
extremely comfortable about getting their nails trimmed, like Quest, can feel more uncomfortable than the actual cutting process.
So slow down on your shaping there just a little bit and see. You're getting, basically show the angle that you're going to take off that outside edge.
So I'm allowing it to kind of catch and bite in.
Yep.
We don't have a macro lens, but that allowed me, if you can look at the nail from the top maybe, you can see that angle a little bit more that I just made.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to do that on the other side now.
Good, and now you should be able to take the top part off of that.
Yep. And then when I take the top part off, you see that? And another little trim.
That's perfect.
So you can see that is a nice rounded, it's not gonna scratch me type of nail. So we're gonna do that same situation with this next nail. I'm scraping under that bottom, and it's so hard to show how that catch feels, but I'm trying to make it dramatic. It catches. I cannot pull it past that catch point. I mean, I could if I really worked on it, but it is catching there. So that is where I'm gonna make that perpendicular cut. And then I'm definitely not quite close enough to that quick, so I'm gonna take a very thin shaved part. You see that? Off. Maybe a little bit more.
The smaller, sharp clippers are what make you able to do those little trimmings to kind of fine tune where the nail needs to be.
Yep. Because you can get to that catch point, but that's not exactly as short as they maybe need to be. And it's a good start. But if we don't work backwards from there and shorten them even further to expose that quick, your nails are still going to grow out and get longer and longer. Getting close. Again, it's a little bit of a feel. I'm seeing if I can get right in there to see that transition. And a little sharper nail trimmer would be beneficial for me to get those thinner slices. But again, I can feel with my nail that squishy part in the middle there. And she says she can feel that. Do you see her kind of saying, oh, I feel that? That's letting us know that that live tissue is starting to become exposed. Because she's like, oh, I can feel that. It's not just poking on her hard, dead shell of her nail. So we're going to go ahead and shape that one again by taking that. Hey, your paw's in the way. Put your paw down there so we can see. So get our little fluffy toe feathers out of there. But you see that angle I'm going to take? So it allowed us to take that side, and again, a little side, and just that top. So then you can see that nice rounded nail. So her nails actually are kind of interesting on the bottom. Not all nails look like this, but that hard shell around the nail is actually growing around the bottom. Do you see that? Trying to get the little toe feathers out of the way. So ideally, we'd like to be able to expose underneath that a little bit as well. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that here today.
Might be something we need to get the Dremel for.
Yep. But I'll work on her last nail here. Again, it catches. I'm making a perpendicular cut. There's no point in making this kind of a just the tip cut because we've got a long way to still go at that point. So find that catch point, make that perpendicular cut. Again, you don't want to angle back because that quick is in here. And if you angle back, though that's where you catch, you're going to take too much potentially off if you angle backwards. So perpendicular. Again, take a little bit off until you see that start to get exposed. Do you see that in there?
Yep, that line you can almost see on here. You can see almost a line in the middle.
Yep,
there.
and you can definitely feel that's where it's very soft. So we'll do a little shaping. Just a little bit of shaping. Okay. So that is her front nail on the right.
Now her front nail or back nail on the right. So Quest is a bigger dog, a little bit longer. I'm a shorter person. So for me, I could reach all the way down here, but I could also flip her around. So I'll maybe do a couple nails with it this way and then a couple nails with her flip flops. So again, nails grow differently on the front than the back, but there's still going to be that catch point. Okay. So we're going to find that catch spot and clip perpendicularly. You can still do the same shaping. Did you see that cut on the edge?
Yep.
Do another cut here. And you can see how that kind of shaped each side.
Yep.
And then again, I can take that top angle off.
It's perfect.
Okay. So yeah, get your face out of my face because I got to see what I'm doing. Well, technically I don't, but again, I feel that catch point, clip perpendicularly, and probably take a little bit more off. Just a little shave. You see how little I'm taking?
Mm-hmm.
Trim, angle, angle, and angle. So I'm going to go ahead and spin her right around like a good little baby dog. She just hangs out.
Spin that dog right round.
Quest is like, I'm not impressed. Okay, this foot. This is the foot we're working on. Paw. Dogs don't have feet. They don't have hands. They are paws. So now we're going to do from this angle, just because, like I said, she's long. It's hard for me to see what's going on at that end, but this way I can definitely see what I'm for sure doing, especially if you're not as comfortable with trimming nails. So taking the big portions off both sides, now I'm just going to do a little extra trim and a trim on each angle and that top. Same with this last nail. She's been so patient and so well behaved. This is why developing this calm, relaxed temperament throughout this process is important. If she would be fighting and I would be fighting, she's probably going to get quit. But also, she's going to learn that the only way this nail trimming gets done is if I just fight my little heart out. Well, if we can say, no, we're just going to hang out here until you calm down, and then maybe I trim one nail, and if you're really fighting, then I'll just hold it and we'll calm down again, and then we'll trim another nail, and then if you start struggling, we'll calm you down and trim the next nail, and so forth and so on. And then if I was done trimming, I wouldn't just be like, whew, that's done. You're free to go. Fight your way free. I would want her to calm down and be really relaxed like this before I'm like, okay, we're done. So I'm going to actually have her stand back up so that I can show you how trimming nails from a sitting and standing position works. Okay, I need you to sit up. She's like, man.
Puppies actually get their personalities and temperaments from their parents.
Sit up, Questy.
So having super, super laid back dogs like Quest
Come on, baby.
mean that there's a really good potential that all of her puppies will have very similar personalities as well.
So I've got her in a seated position. Okay, so now we are going to do her left paw sitting up like this. Now I'll try and make sure that you get a chance to see this. So I'm isolating one toe and taking and feeling underneath where that catches again. And then I'm making a perpendicular cut. And that cut was almost perfect. Do you see that little dot in the center?
I want to see if I can get closer because this is a really good example.
Such a patient.
Okay, there. You can see the little dot pointed out with your finger. Right there in the center. Everybody see that? Good.
So
Perfect.
that was, like I said, almost a perfect cut. Now we're going to go ahead and take that angle.
Yep.
And another little angle. To catch, there we go. And that top angle. Catches and clips. I'm just doing a little extra shaping, smoothing that all together.
You can see a nice smooth angle all the way around on that toe.
Mm-hmm.
Next toe. Whoops, dropped your paw. Oh, hold on just a second. So she's got a little, I just noticed this when I grabbed her toe. She's got a little sore spot in between her toes there. Looks like she's got something poked in there. I can feel it just a little bit. And this is common. This happens to dogs.
Really well. Yeah, that little
bump. So they step on stuff, and then they get poked. Yeah. And
she says that doesn't feel good.
well, it's a little sore. So we're going to have to doctor that a little bit and take a good look at it here when we're done with our nail trim. But just doing nail trims, it's a really good way of checking your dog's pads and toes and paws on a weekly basis. So get a good look there and know that we've got something to take care of. Again, find that catch spot. Trying to make sure you can see that angle there.
Yep.
And that was another almost perfect cut. Hey.
She's getting good, folks. She's getting good.
You can see that very center, and it's squishy, of that live tissue. Go ahead and take my, I know, being so patient. Take my angle here. Take my angle here. And my angle here. You can see how nicely that exposes the rest of that quick. So it can wear and stay trimmed down. Next toe, I mean. Again, where it catches. Did I get you?
That hit me.
Pooh. So she's starting to pull a little bit, and that's why showing you the two different ways of trimming their nails. Find what works for you. So Quest says, I'd rather have my paw back. I like laying on my back and relaxing, but I'm going to help work through this with her because some people are going to have this be the norm for a nail trim all the time. So we're just gonna isolate that toe. I'm not gonna give it back to her when she's pulling, and I'm just gonna take a little bit more off the edges. And I'm not going to allow her to get out of this nail trim by pulling. So now she's not pulling. You can see her paws just resting in my hand. Then I can give it back to her. Good girl. Then we're going to pick it up for the last toe. But we don't want to give in to her and release her from getting her nails trimmed when she's pulling and fighting. That little bit of resistance and avoidance, if we give in to that, and this toe is really hard to see because it's on the back side of her foot, so I guess I just kind of quick did it while I was talking. But that type of avoidance and resistance, if we give in to that by just being like, oh, well, fine, I'm done with this nail trim, it's just too much work for me. Then she's going to learn, well, hey, I just pull and fight harder next time, and I'm going to get out of this. So I'm going to go ahead and stand her up to do that back leg. On the left side, I'm going to turn her around so that you can see what I'm doing from the rear. So she's standing up kind of like you would with a horse and farrier. I'm going to pick up this back paw. Pick it up, pick it up. She's like, I want to sit, I want to sit. And then you can kind of just curl those toes under. I don't know, can you see what I'm doing here? And again, you just would scrape under the bottom of that nail to where it catches. Perpendicular cut. You can see I almost got a perfect cut with that exposure. Taking off my extra sides. Maybe take off a little trim on the bottom there. Let you see that?
Yep.
Okay. Doing this where the dog also has some traction, so I'm doing this on the carpet, is a good way for her to not slip and slide with her legs all out from underneath her. Stand up, stand up. She's kind of sinking in on her haunches. Catches, clip, take off that side, take off that side, and take off the top. I think we talked about this in one of our Yawas maybe, about how we trim nails and things like that, and everybody's got their own preference. Ethan says he likes to trim nails standing up like this. I prefer trimming nails sitting down and cradling them in my lap, but
When I do this, I typically put them up on a table too. So they'll be up at more eye level, whatever, where I can stand with them. But
we each have our own preference. The dogs also have their own preference of how they like getting their nails trimmed, what works best for them. And you just will have to figure out what's going to work best for you. But the number one things to remember are be patient. Don't rush this process. Don't let your dog get out of the situation if they're fighting really bad. And be careful not to quick them. Quicking them happens, but if you quick every single toe, every single time you do a nail trim, your dog's definitely not going to look forward to that process. It's not going to feel good. It's not going to be relaxing. It's not going to be enjoyable for them. So be careful and be confident where you are clipping. Don't use that guard to be like, oh, well, I can take this much off this time, because that guard is, like we talked about, not a good gauge on every single dog and every single nail, because even on Quest, some of her nails I was able to take more off than others. So.
okay, so next we have Legend, and I wanted to show you as we've worked up. I don't know if you noticed, or maybe I did I say it in the beginning? We're going to work from the puppy all the way to the old man. Okay, well, we're getting older here. We've got Legend, and he is the next oldest. And I want to show you right off the bat, like before we even get started, his nails look better than, almost better than where Twister's ended. If you look at those. So this would be a dog, and some of your dogs are going to be this way. We're just going to grind these a little bit and then be done, because there is minimal to nothing that can be trimmed off of these little boys. Come over here. Stand still. So we're going to go ahead and hit these just with the grinder for a second. Just from a baby maintenance standpoint, sometimes you see a little bit of strange growth direction happening, and we can take that off. But again, as the dogs get older and bigger, the nails get bigger. So the grinding time takes just a little bit more time. That's pretty good. Go to the next. And that's all he needs for this week. And it's been same amount of time for all of the dogs to get their nails trimmed. All the way around that top half. Now, I know some of you may be saying, hey, wait a second, we made a pretty big jump there. Just a second here. Finish this one up. Ta-da! Some of you may be saying, hey, you made a pretty big jump there. Where is Thunder? Where is Guts? Which Guts is actually Legend's sister, so it'd be about the same timing. But they're off hunting right now with a good buddy of ours, getting some extra experience. The young dogs in that category need all the experience they could get right now, and they had the opportunity to go and get a bunch of birds shot over them. So let's go ahead and move into his back, and we'll take a look at this. Sometimes these dogs that wear their front really well, their back nails can be a little bit longer. But his, even in this case, there isn't much that can be done. I mean, there. If I had tried to trim that, there's a pretty good chance that I would have quicked that. Now, one thing that I can show you, it's starting to develop here, clear back by the base of his pad, is this growth together underneath the nail. Can you see that all right there? Comes to almost a point, the outside of the nail, where the puppies didn't really have that. So a couple ways that we can do that is I took my fingernail and started to, says, hello, I want to look. Flake that off. You can see that little flake there. And then those you can just pull and get them out of the way. That is one way to do it. The next would be to go ahead and take that grinder and just grind the underside to break that up just a little bit. There isn't a lot there, but just a little bit to kind of help break that up. And then we'll go through the rest of the nail. This one, see, has grown a little bit longer, a little bit different shaped. Okay, next. Good. Next. All right, so we've got Questy Pup. Questy Pup. We've got you next. Another one that doesn't need a whole lot trimmed. It's not quite the same as Legend, but we will be able to take a little off and then grind. And a lot more shaping can be done with these older dogs. So bigger nails, more surface areas to whack off. Alright. That one's there. I mean, it looks like there maybe should have been more to be able to trim, but when you can see that, show again here, when you can see that distinct white dot right there in the middle. I mean, you're there, folks. So we'll move on to this one. Now, I know what all of you are doing. You're sitting there right now going, I have literally watched him trim. What are we on? What number is this? I've literally watched you trim 4.5 dogs' nails in the time that it takes me to get one nail trimmed on my current dog. This takes, Questy Pup is in heat. This takes practice, guys. You got to be confident in what you're doing, which takes a lot of nails. Thousands. The other side of it is you need a sharp pair of clippers. And the last part of it is you need dogs that behave. I mean, if I had to constantly fight each one of these dogs for all of this, this would take drastically longer. Ta-da! All right, let's go ahead. Grind these front ones just a little bit here. You see? No, see, even she doesn't have much underneath there yet because her nails are short. They're pretty good. We've got some less pretty ones coming, I will tell you that. Next. Whoop. Good. Turn around. Okay. Those are done. Now, some of you may be worried a little bit about the grinder aspect of things, and I do want to just show, I mean, I can touch this on my skin Goes in one spot too long, it gets warm. It feels a little bit uncomfortable. But that little touch here and there, which is essentially what I'm doing to their nails, doesn't hurt at all. Takes your dog a little bit of time to get used to it, but it does not hurt at all. Let's go ahead and grab the next puppy. That'd be Mud, wouldn't it? Yep. Next we've got Muddy. Hers are clicking a little bit. They're kind of like a halfway in between. Not quite as bad as her mother's. And this is another thing, guys. Everything is genetic. So she struggles a bit with her nails. Also, Grit, which will be a couple dogs later, struggles with her nails. So we're going to have some trimming here. Get started with this. All right, Trix, hush up. Good. So those are trimmed. That one, she said, you get that one pretty close, Dad. That was my goal, but I don't want it to be uncomfortable for you. Good. Back ones. Next here. Onto the grinder. Good. Done. She goes pretty easy. She's a pretty sweet girl. We'll go get the next puppy. Hey everybody, Ethan here, and I've got Quest, and she needs her nails trimmed today. This cute little mama dog to be is going to help me to try out what the internet says is the best. Yes, you are right. The internet says it's the best way to trim a dog's nails. So let's go ahead. I've got my saran wrap, I've got my peanut butter, I've got my nail clippers, a spatula to get this stuff smeared around, and a dog. I think I have all we need to try this out. To start off with, Quest, we need to get some plastic wrap up in here. I wonder if I go down too low, if that'll be bad. Okay. I want to protect my eyes though. I've never put peanut butter this close to my face. and then ask a dog to do anything with it. Okay. I may need to go up above the eyes. I can't see very well. Just poke some holes in there. Better? Okay. What do you think, Quest? I don't think she's impressed. Let's see. Well, this peanut butter looks like it's been sitting there for a day or two. You know how peanut butter gets all oily on top? I don't know how well that's going to stick to my forehead. Who knows? Okay. Would you like some? That's what I'm afraid she's going to do to my head here in a second. Give it back now. Give it back now. Oh my God, she's got it all over her face. Okay. All right, so we got to get some up here, right? Is that looking pretty good? Let's get a little more up here. How high? How much higher can we go? Up a little higher? Okay. All right, Quest. Look up here, babe. Sit up now. We're going to trim your nails. Okay, come on. She's like, I have no idea what's going on. Okay, right here, sweetheart. Look, use your nose. Let's move out of the way here. Right here, baby. You have peanut butter all over your side now. Hey. There we go. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm seeing how this is working. Okay, so first impression, having a dog lick my forehead is kind of weird. It also requires my face to be really close to the nails and the dog. Is it clean already? She started biting now? Just a little easy now. Okay. So far, this is looking good, though. What do you think, Quest? Should we do the next one? What do you think? Should we douse this up just a little bit more here? All right. Round 2. Up here. Focus. Okay, good. Yeah. And she's more like nibbling my forehead now. This is what I was kind of afraid was going to happen. We're not even halfway through this yet, nail trim wise. Well, that also is a benefit of the peanut butter. She just has to keep licking and licking and licking, and that's a good distraction here. Okay, so that's so far is working pretty dang good. Oh, good deal. We've got Grandpa. Maybe Grandpa needs his nails trimmed too. You want to try this technique? Be part of the internet sensation? The internet, you guys are awesome. Here, Rex, you want some? We're trimming nails, big boy. Yeah, see, you guys both went the same attack direction on that. Not licking, we are. Here you go, Rex. Here, ready? Get your nails trimmed next. I don't know how this is supposed to assist with the back nails, but we're gonna go for it here in a second. Okay, let's turn. Get you up here. Stay out of my jar. I need more of that here in a minute. Okay, old man. There you go. See, this is what I'm kind of struggling with, is my face has to be uncomfortably close to the dog's face.
You have peanut butter, like,
I don't know what you're talking about.
you in the eye.
Maybe. Good job. Okay, so now that we have the front done on both of our dogs, do we need more peanut butter? Okay. All right, Quest. Let's do your back ones now. Stand up, hon. Oh, this is what we'll do. We'll lay you on your back, real gentle-like. There you go. Now, while you're on your back there, here you go. Good. Don't bite, though, please. Just, ouch. Okay. Internet, I'm going to go with, on this one, you suck. This is not overly beneficial.
But if you had put a glob of peanut butter on her dog bed right there while you did her back ones.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so there you have it. peanut butter on your forehead and a portion of a roll of saran wrap is definitely an entertaining way to attempt to trim a dog's nails. If you really want to learn how to trim a dog's nails properly, I would just watch one of our other multiple videos where we show how to properly condition and desensitize dogs to the use of nail trimmers and a Dremel to make their nails healthy and short. Thanks guys for watching. All right, everybody, we're here to Allie, and Allie's nails actually look really good. Let's go back just a little bit, baby. Allie's nails look really pretty good. Like they were trimmed a little bit more recently than some of the other ones. But we're gonna go ahead and start right in with trimming. Head's in the way, baby. Good. Next. Her nails are maybe a little bit longer than some of the other dogs, but that is kind of just how they've grown. She probably has some of the most undergrowth nail there. You see that all right? Yes. Okay. Got that a little bit, trying to trim extra off. But I'll get to show you with the grinder what we can do there. Sorry, babe. Quick you just a little bit. In your head. All right, go on to these back ones. So bigger, bigger side cuts here. Just based off the shape of her nail. Good. Good. Whoa, baby. Let me look. Yep, looks good. Good. All right, grinder time. Let's see here. Her nails are just a little bit thicker all the way around, which is just a difference in shape and taking that bottom out underneath there, and then just the same, sorry, hon. Same grinding as everywhere else. But again, that underside, we can take a little bit of that grinding that way. Last one here. Next foot. It's like the worst I've actually quicked a dog in a long time. So you get to see it on camera there. We'll get a little bit of blood. We won't do much grinding just because that's going to feel a smidgeny uncomfortable already. Good. On to the back ones. Whoa. A little bit undergrowth there, and I'm able to take that down. And go on to the next one. Ta-da! All right. We have just 3 dogs left. We have Vex and Grit and the old man. I'll be right back. All right, guys, we just have 3 left. Grit's one of them. And I mentioned before earlier that Grit's nails are not great. She doesn't move in a way that helps wear them, and they got a little bit bad when she was younger, and no matter how much I work on them, they never really get much better. So I also want you to understand there is that aspect of things. I know how to do this. I know how to trim them down right and to put the time, effort, and energy into doing it at appropriate time periods to help them recede, and they still don't do a great job of it. So if you're seriously struggling at home, it could just be your individual dog. But for the most part, we should be able to get them to the sub-clicking category when she's walking. Now, this pretty lady is about to have her puppies in a week. Yeah, about a week. So what we're doing here with her specifically is going to be nail prep to shorten and smooth them so there's no sharp edges to protect puppies, because moms can scrabble around a little bit and scratch or any number of other things. So we just trim them down, keep them short, keep them smooth. We'll get started here. I'm going to show you. These bad boys are long, and Grit also, I'm going to get a little bit closer. We're going to shorten this chain because she's pulling away from me just a smidgeny. And she has this kind of fancy rogue dew claw up here.
Have your audio rolling?
Yeah, I have audio going. Yeah, fancy rogue dew claw up here. Shall you just hush? That it has to get, if your dog has dew claws, you got to help trim those bad boys up as well. We're going to start there because I sometimes forget it because there's just this one, the dew claw removal didn't go right or whatever, and it ended up growing back here. So I forget about it. But it's always short enough that it never really gets in the way or causes any other issues. Stop, baby. Okay, good. We are short now. Now, we're going to go right in here to our first cut. And then trim around. And this is part of the issues. You can see how long her nails are. And I made that first baby little trim, and what do we see there? The white dot. Full on, quick, right there. We hardly trimmed anything off, folks. So this is one that her nails just struggle. They just struggle to get any better. And I wish that they would stay better, but I'm going to have to try a little bit different position because she's fighting me a bit. So I'm going to have her sit so I can take away a little bit of her oomph and ability to pull, maybe. We may try this here, more of our grinding pattern. And in the process, like she would be one that in the process of trying to help her nails get shorter, I mean, we've had to grind them a little bit more than what we would normally. And you know, she's to the point where she doesn't love this process, but that's no excuse for saying you can get away with doing whatever you want here. So I'm going to hold. She's relaxed. We'll go to the next one. That's all there is to it. Careful, babe. Okay. So we'll get these trimmed up quick. No. Come back here. Come back here. Good. Get these trimmed up quick. Again, not much at all can come off of these bad boys. Good. Let's go on to the back ones. The back ones right now look a little bit worse. You can't jump off of that table, sweetheart. All right, back ones look a little bit worse right now, even yet. But that first little tiny cut, we're already to the quick already, so I can't do much else with them. Try and grind them a little bit, stay on top of that, but it's a long road, folks, and it's tough. It's tough to keep them short, get them short once they've gotten really long. So my recommendation for you is put in all of the time when they're puppies. And if you just have a dog that's like Grit here and her nails grow weird, just do the best you can. Give you a little bit more support toward me here. We didn't get that one all the way. Stand still. Good. All right, let's do a little bit of grinding. Which I know is like your favorite thing in the whole world. Spending a little bit more time on hers where I can. Trying not to make it too uncomfortable. That underside of hers are pretty grown up there. That's a part of what's going to help them to recede. You can see on this next one. You see how much of that is there? Okay, and then we're going to take and grind underneath there to expose that. And then just shape it the rest of the way. Same thing here. She says, a little bit too much, Daddy. Okay, next paw. Good. Good girl. Last one up front. No. Yep, we're there. Stop. Again, not letting her fight and pull away. Now let's switch around and do the back ones. Oh, baby. Okay, next. Baby, stop fighting. And you see she's been the worst out of the bunch as far as pulling, fighting, not wanting this done, but she also has the worst nails and needs the most love and okay, and last one. Stand up, Mama. Take a look there. Oh yeah, that looks good. Perfect, sweetheart. We're done. We got 2 left. All right, guys, so this is going to be the exact opposite extreme of what we just had. And I don't even know if I'm going to take the grinder to these today. Maybe just a little bit. I mean, they're almost better than Legends. If you look at how he's standing on the table here, there is no nail anywhere near. He's always been really good about trimming his nails. as well as he's active enough. They just stay short. They're just different.
Nix is the same way.
Yeah, his daddy, same way. So we're going to go ahead and take, his nails are thicker because he's an older dog, so we're going to be taking teeny tiny bit off the outside, and this will just take a second. Whoop. Next. Good job, bud. Swing around to the back. Ooh, baby. Old Vexer, he's a pretty sweet boy. He says there was a girl in heat here, I believe, recently. Good. All right, into the grinder just for fun. Just take that little bit of a sharp edge off. On to the back ones. Ooh, careful. And that's it. Look at these though, real close like. Ooh. Get down here and see. Like there is no click. If this boy ever clicks when he's running around, I know we've seriously neglected something. And that would be the only way to put it because it takes a long time. Yeah. All right, no more licking my face, please. All right, we're gonna get Grandpa Rex, the old man, and we will be done with this nail trimming adventure. All right, so last but definitely not least here, we've got the old man. And he doesn't, I mean, he really just doesn't get around enough to truly do much wearing at all. So he's got short nails by nature, but he's got his little hooks on there that are ready to take off. Those are a pretty easy indication to know where to trim. We'll go ahead and get started with his, just to take care of him. The old guy is now 15 and is a sweet, sweet, sweet old man. Oh, buddy. Sorry. You're not even bleeding. What are you talking about?
He can also be a little dramatic in his old age.
A little bit. All right, let's see here. Good.
And if you're wondering where Nix is, he's helping teach those puppies some hunting skills.
Nix is out with the other puppies. Gotta have somebody seasoned there. Nix, oh my goodness, turns 9. Turns 9 in a few days. March 14th, right? 15th. All right, let's get these back ones for you, old guy. Back ones aren't as bad, which is kind of surprising. It's kind of the opposite of what they normally are. Next here.
Grandpa says I don't even stand on one leg to pee anymore.
Yeah.
How do you expect me to stand on one leg for my nail trim?
Back around, back around, back around, back around. All right, a little bit of grinding and we'll be done, guy. He says, I don't know, guys. Okay. His old paws. These used to be black. Good, just a little grinding. Good, turn around now. Let's get these back ones. Whoa, whoa, lost your balance.
Turn around in a circle.
All right, last one, buddy. That was a heck of a workout. Whew! All right, come around, say hi to everybody. We showed every dog's nails are just a little bit different. I also showed that I did quick a couple of them, okay? So it's not the end of the world, A, for the dog, or B, don't give up on the process if you end up quicking your dog just a little bit. Try to keep it to a minimum, but at the same time, you gotta practice this, you gotta work with your dog, you gotta have real expectations for you and them, and you gotta stay on top of it from the time they are wee little puppies like Trix, all the way through the time they get to the point where they can't even stand on 3 legs anymore. Thanks guys for watching. I'm the guy with the pink gun. We will put together more nail maintenance and other kind of maintenance videos for you. If you like this one, just drop a comment. If you made it this far, give us a thumbs up. And if you 100% made it this far, say finished in the bottom. It'll make me feel good. We'll see you in the next video.